Hello, my Teaserking family. That was quick. Usually takes me 10, 20 seconds to go live. How's everybody today? Hope you're well. We're at college football tonight. Let's see what happened yesterday. Liberty wins 42-35. And I look at it, Middle Tennessee is not a Z team. Middle Tennessee's a Z team because they played Alabama and lost like 54-3. But they're really not a Z team. They're more of an over team. So again, what should have been an easy over, had we seen them as an over team, so you got to dig into these games. Gold's in 1950, up 25, silver 22.88 in the paper world, the fake world, not the real world. Hey. So let's go to the lines first. So we got Jacksonville State, the B team beating the over team, Western Kentucky 20-17. And we have South Alabama 55-3 over the W team. So there was a true W team. They lose 55-3. Liberty puts up 42, but not against the W. Middle Tennessee, look, the last three games, they put up 30 points against like MAC teams. So, it makes it, I think the system's perfect, but sometimes the ranking in college is not. Now, why was Middle Tennessee a Z? Because they played Alabama, lost 56-3. So they show, right now it shows big. At the end of the year, it probably doesn't show that much. But it's like a game with the 3 points. So it looks, they don't score. But in the last 3 games, they averaged 30. So if you just took the last 3 games, they'd be 30 and probably 25, and they'd be an over team. So anyway, that's what we have. Tonight we have Sam Houston 5.5, 41.5 to Florida International. I got Sam Houston as an under team. Florida International is a W team. So let's look into that a little bit more. And then we've got New Mexico State 3 over UTEP, 47.5. And that's it. So let's take a close. So I have Florida International as a W over against Sam Houston and under. So let's take a look at this. Florida International. So now Florida International hasn't played in Alabama or Michigan or Georgia. So they're pretty good. They played Maine 14-12. Hey, Eric. Sam Houston's an under team. Well, we'll take a look at them in a minute. I think so, too. So let's see. Florida International beats Maine 14-12. They play North Texas High. They beat UConn. Liberty does beat them 38-6. New Mexico State beats them pretty good. And UTEP beats them. So the last 3 games they've averaged, if we go to last 4, if we go to UConn, Liberty, New Mexico State, and UTEP, they've averaged about 17 points and given up 17, 34, 38, and 27. So this is really like a 20-35. So, yeah, Florida International is really a W team. I think we have that right. And we go Sam Houston. Sam Houston's 0-6, really? They're 0-6 straight up. Now, they played BYU, lost 14-0. Air Force, 13-3. Houston killed them. Jacksonville State, Liberty, and New Mexico State. So they've been pretty close. They are what they are. So this is a under team, and they give up 25. So this is pretty good. It's the USC over Nevada, 63-7. That skews Nevada or the teams that have played Michigan or Alabama or Georgia. They're the ones who get skewed. And a lot of the MAC teams, I think, are under because they played. I know MAC teams played Michigan and Georgia and Alabama. You lose them 42-0. Now, in a sense, it's a real thing because, I mean, you got to count those games. You can't ignore – you can ignore the high school games. You can't ignore the other way. But in conference, you can ignore them. So you know if they play a really good team, they're going to get killed. Okay, and that's why we lock when they play Georgia and Michigan and Alabama, and we just lock against them, and they get killed. But in conference, it's a different animal, especially MAC and this Conference USA. They're playing teams, think of it as a horse race where they're playing their class, not over their class. So you're expecting how they play the other teams, which could change this. But in this case, both these teams are, and they played pretty good, 14-0 to BYU and 13-3 to Air Force is pretty good. They're not bad games. So if we analyze this, so do we think it's an under? We don't think Florida International is going to score much, but they could. And they give up 27, but Sam Houston doesn't score a lot. So I don't know about going under 40. I don't think we don't have the defenses. We don't have under teams here. So I really want to go under with under teams, right? Georgia, Michigan, Duke, somebody who shuts you down. These teams can give up 25, 27 points. We'd have to look at their quarterbacks to see, I don't think either of them have really strong quarterbacks. So if I look at Florida International, they probably scored 20, give up 27, and Sam Houston probably scores about 18 and gives up 25. So not a lot of offense. Sam Houston might score a little bit more against this weak defense, but clearly not a game I'm interested in. So let's go New Mexico State. And now we know New Mexico State. They can score. We like Pavia. UTEP, I think, sucks. Now, they are a Z team. Are they really a Z team? And in this case, the only really big team they played was Arizona. They lost 31-10, but they lost to NWU. Is that Northwestern? 38-7. They lost to Jacksonville State 17-14. Vegas 45-28, LTEC 24, and they beat Florida International. So there you go. Florida International just got beat by UTEP. So I think UTEP's pretty good. I don't think I'd throw out any games, which leads me with UTEP with the Z team giving up 26. New Mexico State is actually a B team. They give up 23, but I think that's pretty accurate. And they probably score about 30. So I like New Mexico State here. I think that I think is a real one. We like Pavia. We know they got a good quarterback. We don't know what UTEP obviously isn't very good. Well, they got 28 to UNLV, but lost 45-28, and then 27 last week to Florida International, who we can see is a W team, gives up 27. So, but that's my point. You got a team like Florida International gives up 27 a game, and here UTEP, who doesn't score, gets their highest point total against this weak defense. So that's what I mean. If you have a weak defense, they're probably going to score, Because, I mean, every offense is similar. You know, they can throw the ball down the field. They can sorry, lunchtime. And they can all throw the ball down the field and have some running and have some sort of quarterback. Just different levels. So from that standpoint, that's why against these weak defenses, you're going to get points. Even though you can't score, normally, you know, if you play Duke, you're not going to score. But if you play Virginia, more than likely you're going to put up 30 points in those games. Hey, Todd. Waiting for my check to arrive. 10K will be buying gold. Yeah, I saw that. And Navy lost their quarterback too. Yeah, absolutely. We don't know. The key's the backup, right? How good is now? I know their real quarterback graduated. So this guy's been there, and he doesn't throw 5 passes a game. He just runs. He's a good runner. What does the backup do? Now, Navy and Air Force normally play low-scoring games because they know each other's offense, especially if Air Force is not throwing the ball. Navy should be able to handle it. If I go to the Air Force game, here I got Air Force gives up 14 a game. Navy's an under, gives up 23. Well, if Air Force loses their quarterback, if you go to the box score last week, I'll do that. Then we can see, because they obviously got hurt during the game. So obviously, the backup came in. So let's see what the backup did. So let me answer that question. Let's go to Air Force. It's a noon kickoff at the Navy. So we go Air Force, Wyoming. We go to details. We go to Air Force. And he must have played the whole game because he was only 6 of 9 for 58 yards and a touchdown, but he runs for 20 times for 111 yards. So he must have played hurt because the backup's not on here. Their next guy ran 22 times for 97 yards. And then they had a couple guys that ran 2 and 3 times for 65 yards. So, you know, what do you have here? 20 for 111 and 6 and 9. Wyoming's their quarterback's not bad. Peasley, 15 of 25 for 3 touchdowns. But they don't have any running. So let's see if we got Navy. What did they do? Navy beat Charlton 14 to who the hell is Charlton? That's Division II. They beat North Texas 27-24, lost to USF 44-30, lost to Memphis 24-20, beat Wagner, and then the Notre Dame game, of course. So here's where Notre Dame skews them. So if we take the Charlton game off, because I don't know why they only beat them 14-0. Or maybe it was weather last week. So let's look at their 4 games after Notre Dame. Well, we can't. Wagner's in there. So let's take Wagner out. So Memphis 28-24. They beat USF, or they lose to USF 44-30. And then they beat North Texas 27-24. So they're averaging 27 a game against the Memphis, USF, North Texas, and giving up about 32. So this should be an Air Force game, but then he's injured. So the question is Air Force's backup, which we don't know, and he didn't play. So we don't. That's the problem with it. We assume he's not as good, but look at Cam Rising and Van Dyke. They played. They were like the third stringers. That shows you how bad the coaches are. So with that said, we don't really know. The over-under is 37. So if we take that Notre Dame game out, which I don't know if we do, let's say Navy's a 20 defense, and then Air Force, they're probably a 35 offense, but now you don't know about the quarterback. So I think this under is a little bit low at 37 because they're figuring the quarterbacks out. But this seems like an awful low number, and it's an unknown. We don't know the backup. So I think we find a better game. Still could be an under, but without knowing the backup quarterback, that's a lot. He could be Joe Montana and he could be Joe Blow. So we don't know that. We assume he's not as good as the starter. If the starter was playing, I think this is Navy in 17. Against everybody but Navy, they were good. But again, if Air Force's quarterback, how good is he? But I don't know. There's nothing on him. And I guess if the guy played hurt last week, that shows you how much faith they have in it. So I don't know. I would find a better team. Okay. So when you buy gold, go to a store. If you can find, I know there's some in Vegas. I got another friend who shopped around. You don't pay sales tax. You go to the store, you give him cash. He gives you the gold, you walk out. There's no shipping, there's no tax. It's a little bit over. Right now, gold's at $19.50, so you'll probably, it won't be as expensive. It'll be cheaper than eBay because eBay, they add the commission in. So what you should pay, so about $20.88 for gold, $20.50 for a maple leaf. That's for a U.S. Eagle. That's for a maple leaf. Does it matter? Absolutely not. An ounce of gold, all you care about is it says 1 ounce of gold, 1 ounce of gold on it. Then you know, yeah, they're real. If you're apprehensive, have the guy put it on his scale. If he looks like a scumbag, say, can I just verify it's real? And he has a machine, he'll put it on and that's it. Well, you can buy Cougaran. Cougaran's a little cheaper. Cougaran's $2.52. And you can see the Eagles are $20.89, and you can see the Maple Leafs $2.54. So the Maple Leaf and the Cougaran are about the same. They'll just say 1 ounce fine gold or 1 ounce fine gold, and you're fine. You don't care about it. Most of them are $9.99, but you're buying the ounce of gold. So the Eagle will be more expensive by what? The Eagle's $30 more. It's just demand in America. It doesn't matter. If it was me and I could, 10 grand's going to buy you about 5 coins. So if I could get Maple Leafs and Cougarans, I'd probably buy them over the Eagle. But I've got probably a little bit more Eagles. I got a lot of Maple Leafs and a lot of Cougarans. And I got a few Philharmonics. Those are adorable. But either one, you're buying gold, right? So you prefer the coins, but you want to buy the 1 ounce. You don't want to if you buy the smaller ones, the idea is if you bought a 1/4 ounce, they're going to charge you it's not divided by 4. So let's say it's 2,000. The 1/4 ounce won't be 500. So 4 1/4 ounces theoretically will be $550, which will actually be $2,100 for the ounce instead of the whole ounce. So in your situation, you want the whole ounce at this point. It's cheaper for you. And then you'd prefer the Maple Leaf or Cougaran than the Eagle. It's cheaper for you. But we'll see what he has. I know there's a few different stores. There was one good one that was fair, and then there was one that wanted to charge tax. but you will pay the premium. Now, you won't pay this much. eBay, these guys are adding their commission. So it'll probably be about 100 over premium. So gold price is $19.50. The Eagle will probably cost you $20.50, not the $20.80. So figure 100 over this, but the Cougaran and the Maple Leaf will be like 2020, let's say. So that's where you're at with it. About 2020. So your 10,000 will buy you roughly 5. That's the beauty of gold, right? You walk in. I remember first time I walked in, I had like 25,000. And you're buying like 6 ounces, 7 ounces. But that's the beauty of gold over silver. Now you could buy $10,000 worth of silver at $25 an ounce. You'd have this huge box full if you even had that much silver to sell you. But my point is, if I want to go sell it and I want to go to Switzerland with it, I can easily put 5 coins in my pocket and nobody knows I have it. Be a lot of silver to put in my luggage, to do it. So, but it's all the same. It's all real money. As I said, you're not spending any. All you're doing is trading it. And the real risk is holding it. If you don't sell your US dollar for gold and silver, the risk is that the US dollar is going to zero. That's what this whole Israeli thing's about. It's more like a magician. It's more deflection. Oh, look what's happening over here. Well, the US, we're letting all these murderers in our borders. We have high recession. We have high inflation. Our money's worthless. This whole oil thing and the whole thing with Russia. And so here comes Israel saying hocus pocus. Oh, look over here. And then don't look at the inflation, the recession, and the border stuff. So that's what politicians do. They try to get your mind off of what's really the problem. They're not addressing it. And then you can see it, like you go on these news channels when I'm working out. Otherwise, I don't watch them. And that's all they do is they sit there and, there's Israel on CNN for a half hour. So they don't have to talk about the other stuff. Anyway, you want to pay cash because you want to be silent. You want to pay cash, no tax, because it's money you're buying. And then you want to grab the coins and you want to walk out and you're going to want to put it in these plastics for protection. Not that you need it, but it's just nice. I got all mine in these. Silver don't. Silver, I got them in the white cases, but so you're going to ask them for these. So you buy 5, say, can I have the holders? And he shouldn't charge you. You just spent 10 grand, but they might. These are usually $1 a piece. And then there's different sizes. So if you're buying 5 Cougarans or 5 Maple Leafs, there'll be sizes. You just put it in, you snap it in. And now you got protection and you're fine. And nobody can fuck with you. Nobody can take it from you. Nobody can say, oh, they're worthless, like Attack on Wall Street. Nobody can mate off you. Oops, they're worthless. Because there's a market and there's demand, they're not going to go to zero. The only time things go to zero is if I try to sell this and nobody wants it. Then it has no value. But this has a value too. Problem is, all you can do with that is drink it. The gold's different. Anyway, hope that helps you, Todd. Please feel free to send me an email. if you have questions at the store, which you probably will, and I'll be happy to walk you through it, or call me from the store if you want me to talk to the owner. I'll give you my number. It should just be a normal coin transaction. Just first thing you do is, how much is it? We'll probably have a sheet. It'll probably be, here's spot. It's 100 over spot. Okay. Now I know how much it is. Now I'm gonna buy. I want to make sure he has 5. And then you ask him first, do you charge sales tax for gold and silver? He shouldn't charge. If he does, tell him to fuck off and go to another store. So my friend in Vegas said there was a store that was charging tax, and then he found other stores that weren't. So you might want to call around first. Do you have gold? How much is it? Do you charge tax? Then the idea is just like I do. I go to the store a couple miles away. I see he's got gold. What's the price? All right, give me 3 of them. And I give him cash, and he gives me the 3, and I walk out with the gold in my hand. So this is what I did last time. So I walked out with these 2, right? That's what his gold looks like. That's all he has. So here's me. I bought a maple leaf. This is Saturday. So you see how it's in the plastic case, and I got it. And then I just put it in my safe with the rest of the boys. And then I was showing Daria, here's my maple leaves. Here's 10 maple leaves. So you can see how I got them in the plastic. So that's what I'm buying. Now I also have dollars, US, and I also have Cougarans or whatever. So the goal is to buy the ounce of gold. That's your goal. And then you're protected. But your risk is if you own a lot of money to keep it in this. Remember, we've hit the iceberg. We're sinking. You have time as the boat's going down to trade it for gold and silver, but soon the boat sinks. The boat will sink. And you don't want to be scrambling around selling this when the frenzy's happening, right? So everybody realizes the boat's sinking, and then they all run for the lifeboat. Well, you don't want to do that. You want to run for the lifeboat now. You know we're sinking. So that's why I'm buying now in the calm at the low price when there is inventory. I thought it would be we would have sunk by now, but okay, but we're still sinking. We know that. And these wars are just more, they're really, I think the wars are the excuses. Well, it wasn't us, but there was the war in the Ukraine. You know what? And that's why we inflated. That's why we're in debt. Well, we didn't do anything. It's the war in the Ukraine. It's the war in Israel now. So they set up the excuses so they don't take the blame. But it's coming. You have gold back. You have gold for oil from Russia and Saudis, and then the rubles blowing up, so they need to back that with gold. the more demand for gold, the more the price will go up, and the more they'll get it out of COMEX, which is the paper market. So understand that you're paying paper prices for physical, and you're laughing your ass off going, wow, this is worth a lot more than they're charging, especially silver, but gold too. All right. So with that said, I don't know how to answer the Air Force question. Probably a close game. They play it, but I really would pick a better game. Yeah. Well, like I said, I have a friend in Vegas, and he asked me the same question you're asking. And he went to one store, and they said they charge sales tax. And I said, no. Also, you want to check prices. There will be a premium, so don't be surprised if it says it's $19.50 and you're paying $20.50, right? So that you understand is part of the game. But then you realize, but that's paper prices. So you're still thousands of dollars cheaper than you're going to be. Right now, you're trying to accumulate physical gold and silver. So what I did when I first got it, I got, like I said, 25,000 worth. So I got like 8-9 ounces. Then I started, I'd have a few hundred and I'd buy silver. I buy 10 ounces of silver here, 20 ounces of silver there. 10 ounces of silver is $250. So they didn't have gold, or I got gold. And I said, this is ridiculous. Silver's so cheap. And then I started, and now I'm at 600 ounces of silver. It's a great birthday gift. So I have that. And then the goal will be to bring in silver to buy gold with it, right? Because gold will be so expensive. Who's going to have $50,000 to buy an ounce of gold? But if you have a bunch of silver, then you can, here's 20 ounces or 10 ounces should buy you an ounce of gold, maybe 11 or 12. So silver's got a lot to make up for. It's very, very cheap, very much manipulated, but you must understand that. So anyway, that's what's going on with the markets. They're manipulated. They're not real. It's not a physical price. It's a paper derivative price kept down by JP Morgan. So because he prints dollars, if everybody runs into gold, nobody wants dollars. So there's two girls at the bar. There's this pretty 20-year-old and a fat, ugly 60-year-old. What are you going to want? Everybody's going to want the pretty 20-year-old. Well, that's how it is. That's the gold. And then the fat, ugly 60-year-old nobody wants. Well, that's the dollar. So by keeping the pretty 20-year-old in the back, nobody sees her. So everybody goes, well, I guess I got to take it, even though she's fat, ugly 60-year-old. And that's where you get it from. It can't compete with gold. So they know that, they understand that. So that's why they gold has no value, but that's paper gold. And that's just derivatives. It's not physical. So once Russia comes out with a gold-backed ruble and this gold for oil, the demand will go up, the price will go up. They'll say, fuck you, COMEX. We need a higher gold price than 2000, and then it'll go. And that's really going to happen very soon. And then the dollar will be exposed to being fat and ugly, and nobody will want it. They'll come out with a new one. Everybody thinks, it's going to crash. It's not going to crash. They'll come out with a new dollar. Look at Venezuela. Look at Zimbabwe. Look at all the countries, the BRICS, the Euro's coming out with a new one in 2024, and the yen, and they'll just blame Putin, and they'll say, well, because of Putin, we're coming out with a new dollar. It still won't have a value, but they're going to say it to keep the economy going. That's really the point of it. But you need a medium of exchange. You should have a dollar backed by gold. You shouldn't have a dollar backed by nothing. But we need it. We get paid. We buy things. So we consume, and I can't think of the other word. We get paid for doing things, and then we consume. Okay, I gotta find that. This is ridiculous. What is the first thing called? What are we? back to my master's class. 6/2/93. When I took this class. I think we're producers and then we're consumers. So we produce a skill which pays us. We produce something and then we consume it. Consuming is the buying of it. So we make money and then we buy things. And so the medium of exchange is how your employer pays you cash as opposed to tomatoes or eggs. And then you can use the cash to pay your bills and go grocery shopping and go to dinner and take your girlfriend out and go to the movies or whatever you do, or bet or go play poker. So you're using the money to consume or gamble or whatever. And that's what it is. All right. Moving on, back to college football. We've got tomorrow, we got James Madison, 3.5, and 49.5. Now that moved down from 52. I wonder if there's weather in Marshall, which is West Virginia. James Madison, we've got, well, let me go through the lines first. Tulsa, 3.5, 58.5. Up from 57. Tulsa Rice. And we got SMU 20.5, 54, up from 19, down from 56 against Temple, which we know is pretty bad. So let's look at those three games. So today we got a W, Florida International, with an over defense against Sam Houston, which we know is an under. We got New Mexico State and Pavia. We know is a pretty good team, and UTEP we know sucks. UTEP was favored. Now New Mexico State's a 3-point favorite, over under 48. Neither team's got a great defense. New Mexico State's a 23, so that's not bad. Tomorrow we got Rice and Tulsa. Tulsa laying 3, 58. I think Tulsa, 58. Not good when you can't read your own numbers. Now this is over and over, and this is probably a good over bet, 58, 52. Rice has a good quarterback. We'll check Tulsa out. James Madison, 4 and 49 to Marshall. Marshall's an over team, gives up 29. James Madison's an A team. They've looked pretty good, I'd say, considering we don't know who the hell they are. They're just laying 4. So the problem you get is these during the week games, which suck because it throws the teams off schedule. Then we got James SMU 20-54 over Temple. SMU's an A team with a really strong defense, a 17. Temple's a W team giving up 36. SMU should smoke them. Stones looked okay for SMU, not great. One note is Wisconsin with Mordecai. He's only thrown 4 touchdowns, and he's out with the hand. So keep an eye on that with Wisconsin, that their quarterback's out. But he was SMU's. All right, let's go to Saturday's games. We got Ohio State 4.5, 45, down from 47, and down from 5. Well, it's probably 4.5 the whole time. So this started at 60.5 and 10.5. So that's such bullshit. How does it go from 60 to 40 to 45.5 and from 10.5 to 4.5? There can't be that much betting going on to lower the lines like that. We got Penn State with an 8 defense and Ohio State with a 10 defense. This is where I'm struggling how to bet these A teams. So far, Oklahoma, Texas took the dog. Oregon, Washington took the dog. Do we take Penn State here? I'm a little leery Penn State on that. Most of these are home games. I feel like this is it for Belichick. He has lost it. He is done. What did he say about it? I didn't hear what he said. He's making this all up. Shut up.
all about Bill and not about the team. He's chasing Shula's record. He knows he's
How did that happen? They can't throw enough commercials at you. So we have to see Penn State. I don't know that we're going to get it. I guess we'll have to look at let's look at the history here. So last year, Ohio State wins 44-31 at Penn State. Ohio State wins 33-24 at Ohio State. Ohio State wins 38-25 at Penn State. Ohio State wins 28-17 at Ohio State. Ohio State wins 27-26 at Penn State. Ohio State wins. So Ohio State's basically won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. We've had one where Ohio State was laying 4. They won 27-26. Let's go back to 19. So if you took the dog, you win. They win by 11, laying 19. They lay 10.5. They win by 13. Tease the dog, you win. Ohio State laying 19 and 21 wins by 9. Tease the dog, you win. And last year, Ohio State laying 15 wins by 13. Teases. So you can tease the dog, but they're bigger spreads. Here it's a 5. So it tells me you can probably tease the dog here, but it also tells me Ohio State wins. They've won 6 in a row. And when we look at it, they're pretty high scoring. Right? We got 70 points last year, 57, 63, 45, 28, 38, 40, 45 and a 53. So the over-unders are normally in the 60s, and here we've got a 46. This is very unusual. I'm not crazy about Ohio State's offense. Penn State's pretty good. So if we go into who they played, so we know Ohio State beat Notre Dame, very low scoring. Penn State beats West Virginia. Delaware we got to throw out. They beat Illinois 30-13, Iowa 31-0, Northwestern 41-13, and UMass. So who have they beaten? West Virginia, I guess, 38-15. So it looks like Penn State. But again, all right, give them the Iowa game at home. And on the road, 30-13 against Illinois, 41-13 in Northwestern. They haven't played a good – well, they give them the Ohio State, the Iowa 31-0, I guess. But Iowa is so inept. I think did the quarterback get hurt in that game? Anyway, or West Virginia. They got a freshman quarterback. They haven't played Iowa defense is strong. So give them a 31-0. And now let's look at Ohio State. All we know is they beat Notre Dame, and they're at home. So they beat Indiana, Youngstown State, Western Kentucky 63-10, Notre Dame 17-14. Maryland, who's pretty decent, 37-17, and Purdue, who has a good offense, 41-7. So I'm scared to take Penn State in the points at Ohio. At Penn, I would, not in Ohio. And except for the Notre Dame game, they've gone over. Very interesting. So what I'm getting here is this. Penn State puts up 31 on Iowa, so I think they will score here, as I think Ohio State will. 46 seems awfully low for these two calibers. Yeah, we look at the Notre Dame game, and they won it. So if we take Notre Dame as the score, holding Hartman, it was 17. It was a 31, but they got stopped at the 1 and the 10. Which hopefully they've learned from. So it's not like they couldn't move on Notre Dame's defense. But I think this is actually an over. Even though you've got 8 and a 10, Well, Notre Dame's what's Notre Dame? Notre Dame's a 16, so it's not much different. So I'm beginning to think this is an over game. I just think it should be a 60 and it's a 46. So I'm beginning to think it's way too low. And do we tease the dog? I don't know. I mean, we don't know enough about Penn State. They haven't played anybody. They played Iowa at home. So this seems like it's not like Oklahoma and it's not like Oregon. Penn State, we're really not sure of. So I could see being careful with this one. It's not my favorite dog. Maybe an over 40. Man, I'd be shocked if they don't get the 40 in this game. I mean, because look at the Notre Dame game. All right, 31 with stopped at the 1, stopped at the 10. So that's 2 more touchdowns. It's 38-45. So I can't imagine this doesn't get the 40. I'll be shocked, but I've been shocked before this year. Georgia Tech 4.5, 58.5. Hasn't moved against BC. This is over against over. Should be high scoring. Baylor, Cincinnati 3, 49.5. Down from 51. We'll call it a 50. Cincinnati's an even team. Gives up 25. Baylor. Now, I don't think they're a W. I think they're more of an E because Chapin was out. They weren't scoring. Chapin's back, the quarterback. So they should score more. So I look for Baylor to be a little bit more scoring. This should get over 50 very easily with these two. Neither defense is really strong. They both have good quarterbacks. No reason they won't score. Rutgers and Indiana. We won with Rutgers last week. It was the free play and the lock, 5-40. Indiana's a Z team. I really like Rutgers again. Just because of their coach and their team. Their quarterback's okay, but they run the ball and play this strong defense. And if the quarterback doesn't throw interceptions, they kill Michigan State. So hopefully the quarterback won't throw too many interceptions against Indiana. Now, Indiana gives up 29 a game. And Rutgers gives up 16. So this is all set for Rutgers. Now, let's see if they've been on the road. I'm sure they have. Rutgers at Michigan, they lost 31-7, and at Wisconsin, they lost 24-13. I think they were home the rest. So they beat Michigan State. They lose to Wisconsin 24-13. Lose to Michigan 31-7. Beat VTech, Temple, and Northwestern pretty good. So the most they really let up was 31 to Michigan, which isn't bad. And then 24 to Wisconsin and 24 to Michigan State on 2 turnovers. So I don't know that I love Rutgers, but I do think they should win because of their coach and their style. They'll just run it down Indiana's throat. We talked about Air Force and the Navy. We don't know who their backup is. It's already down. It's now 10.5 and 36 down from 30. So it's already the sharps are betting on the under in the game. With the backup quarterback, I can see it being under. Navy plays, they both have good defenses, and you know it. Yeah, I agree with the under here. That I can see. Because you're pulling out the quarterback. So the backup, Navy will know the offense, so that'll be very crucial. Ohio State, 16.5, 52.5. Ohio, not Ohio State. My bad, Ohio. Okay, 17-50. Okay, that line hasn't moved. This is a really strong under. Ohio is a very good under team. They don't score a lot. They got a 13 defense. Western is a 36 defense and a weak offense. So Ohio I don't agree with laying 17, but this should be low scoring because Western's probably going to get 3 or 6 points. Ohio just doesn't score, even though this defense sucks. Maybe they win 24-7. I'm not laying 17 with Ohio, but I can see this being a good under also. I think most Ohio games, they're like the Iowa State games. Oklahoma, 18.5, 64. That number hasn't changed. Oklahoma, we know they're the 18. They have a 14 defense. UCF has a 28. Plumlee, their quarterback's out, but their backup's been playing. I don't know what they'll do here. Over under of 66. Are you kidding me? Wow. So I just don't see UCF scoring a lot of points here. I can see 40-20, maybe 66, under 72 in this game. See, here's where you got this Oklahoma defense probably not going to let up that many points. UCF's an over, but Oklahoma's defense, I don't see UCF just putting up. Now, look at Texas. It was 34-30. But I don't know that UCF is going to put up those numbers. I like the game probably under. Laying the 18, I don't know. UCF can score, no defense. Oklahoma will put up 40. Question is UCF's quarterback. We'll have to see. Arkansas, 5.5, 48.5. Hasn't moved against Mississippi State. The quarterback's questionable. Rogers. Arkansas is the over team, giving up 25. Old Mississippi State's an over team, giving up 30. There should be points. If the quarterback for Old Mississippi State plays Rogers, then this should go over easily 48. If he doesn't play, then I think if Rogers doesn't play, then I think you just take Arkansas even. Because Ole Miss doesn't have a defense. So this is an over if he plays, and if he doesn't, it's clearly an Arkansas. And I think what you do is if you see the line, so if Arkansas goes to 7, and maybe this goes to 50, then if it goes to 7 and stays at 48, he's not playing. Take Arkansas. If this goes up to 50, he is playing, and then go over. This is a joke. Arkansas can score. They both score, and neither of them have a really strong defense. All right, Memphis, UAB. Memphis, 6.5, 62. And where the hell is it? Memphis, UAB. Oh, it's at UAB. That's probably why. Yeah, here it is. I'm looking at Memphis. Memphis, 6.5, 62, up from 5.5 to 6.5. Memphis is the A team. UAB is the over team. Over under a 63, 62 seems kind of high. They could get there. Memphis. Yeah, it's probably an over game. Charlotte, East Carolina. So they're both North Carolina. East Carolina's in North Carolina. And Charlotte's in Charlotte, North Carolina. So this is a North Carolina game. East Car, 6.5, down from 7.5. And 40.5. So both teams are W. Both teams have no offense in that. But let's really take a look, because I know East Carolina played Michigan. So let's get rid of that game. Now, Charlotte loses to Navy 14-0. SMU 34-16. Florida 22-7. They beat Georgia State. No, they lose to Georgia State 41-25. Maryland 38-20. So they're actually is good. And then they beat South Carolina State 24-3. So their numbers are probably pretty good, which makes them the last 3 games. It was 7, 16, and 0. 0 to Navy, and then 16 to SMU. So that's pretty bad. The best they did was 25 on Georgia State. So I'm not looking for them to score a lot. And then, so they're very, very weak. East Carolina. These are both 1-5 teams. So they lose to Michigan 30-3. So let's take that game out. Let's take the Gardner White game out, 44-0. So they lose 31-10 to SMU, 24-17 to Rice, 43-28 to App State, and 31-13 to Marshall. So those 4 games, a 10, a 13, a 17, and a 28. So let's call it, 20. And then they've given up 31, 31, 43. So East Car is very bad. Probably a Z team there. I got them as a W. They're giving up 27. Even Michigan, though, was 30-3. So that keeps the defense at 27. I mean, App State put up 43 on them. So there won't be that much points. Too low scoring, I don't know. Charlotte loses to Navy 14-0. I think this is a tease the dog game, probably. I don't think you're going to get points. If you're going to play totals, play under. And then I think I can't play the dog. I can't play either. These teams are so bad. It's really tough. This is a game you'll watch. Okay, UL Monroe, Georgia Southern. We got Georgia Southern 17-60, 59. Lou Monroe's the Z team. Georgia Southern's the A team. Lou Monroe gives up 32. Georgia Southern 23. So Georgia Southern should kill them, just based on, Lou Monroe doesn't score and has no defense, and Georgia Southern's good at home. They should kill them. Akron, Bowling Green, 7.5, 39.5. So we've got a Z team in Akron and a W. I think it's a W. No, it could be an under. No, it's probably a W team. Bowling Green gives up 27. So there's no defense here. And really not a lot of offense. Now, I know Bowling Green, I believe, played Michigan or Georgia or somebody. So let's look at their last 3. They beat Buffalo. They lose to Miami of Ohio 27. I think they beat Georgia Tech 38-27. What the fuck's going on? They lose to Ohio 38-7. They lose to Michigan 31-6, which isn't even their worst loss. And they lose to Liberty 34. So they're fine. This is what they do. So I don't know what happened in Georgia Tech. So they score 6 on Michigan, 7 on Ohio, 38 on Georgia Tech, 0 on Miami of Ohio, and 24 on Buffalo. What the fuck's going on in this with this whole thing? Was this the fixed game? I mean, this is unbelievable. This is so inconsistent. So then we go to Akron. And Akron, the best team they played was Kentucky 35-3. They lost. They lost to Temple. They lost to Indiana, who sucks. They lost to Buffalo. They lost to Northern. So they haven't won a game. They lost to Central 17-10, Central Michigan. So, I mean, their average is probably right. They're a Z team for sure. They give up 55 to Northern Illinois, and then they 17 to Central, 13 to Buffalo, 29 to Indiana. So if we just keep it in, they gave up 24 to Temple, 13 to Buffalo, 55 to Northern Illinois, and 17 to Central. So they'll probably give up 20 or so. Bowling Green doesn't score that much, except for the Georgia Tech game. So this is, you want to know why it's difficult. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason. I would think Bowling Green wins the game. I don't know how you can go over or under on it, but I can't bet Bowling Green. All right, Wake and Pitt. Wake laying 1.5, 46.5. Both teams are E. Both teams give up roughly 25. Both teams score 25. Probably take the dog in Pitt. They did beat Louisville last week. Maybe that's the start of it. I don't know. Wake's not very good. South Florida, 2.5, 54.5 to UConn. As soon as I can find it. Okay. South Florida. God, it's way over here. All right. South Florida, 254. South Florida is an over team. UConn's a W. They stink. South Florida's lane 2. I hate to play them as a road favorite. Do we go over? I think we can go over. I think that's a good play. Over 54. Let's get into UConn. Are they going to score for us? Yeah, they beat Rice 38-31. They played Utah State 34-33. Duke, yeah, they lost 41-7. That's par. 24-17 Florida International. So they've been scoring in every game but the Duke game, which makes perfect sense. So the last two they put up 30. And here they've got South Florida, who sucks. So this is I like this game over. For 54. All of a sudden they're scoring 30 a game. See, that's what you got to read, because overall, if you look at the whole picture, they're hiding it. But then you can see they're getting better. Maybe they switched quarterbacks, something switched, and now all of a sudden they're scoring. And UConn, let's see, South Florida. And South Florida gave up 56 to Florida Atlantic. Against UAB, they did put up 35. They put up 44 on Navy, 42 on Rice. Forget the Alabama. So they've been putting up points. The Alabama game 17-3. That's when that backup quarterback. So really, Florida Atlantic, I don't know. They only scored 14. Maybe it was raining. But 42-44. So this should be a very high scoring game. Absolutely. West Virginia 3.5, 49.5 to Oak State. And let's see I saw Oklahoma State the last 2 weeks against Kansas and Kansas State. They're playing much better. West Virginia lost 41-39 to Houston, 24-21 with TCU, 2013 with Tech. So they've gotten better. They lost to Pitt 17-6. Then it was 2013 to Texas Tech. Then against TCU, 24-21. And then a big against Houston. Let's see what happened in that game. Green, 20-38, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns. So they're starting to play. So, yeah, this looks like a good over 50. I'll tell you, because I've been watching Oklahoma State, and their offense got a whole lot better. These teams don't have good defenses. You're only talking 44. It's not like West Virginia. They got a 23 defense. It's not great. Oak State, I think Oak State's a live dog here, and I think this is definitely an over. All right. Ball State, Central Michigan. Central's 4.5, 40.5. Ball State's a Z team. Central is a W, and they both give up 31. So, again, are they going to score for you or not? Let's take a look at Ball State. And Ball State doesn't score 6, 10, a 24, a 3, a 14. They played Georgia 45-3. They played Kentucky 44-14. So the last four, they lost 40-3 to Georgia Southern. Western beat them 42-24. Eastern, these are Michigan's 24-10, and they lose to Toledo 13-6. They haven't won a game, Ball State, but they are actually a Z team. Because the Georgia game, you got to throw out maybe the Kentucky and then the Indiana State. So they've scored 43-4. So they've scored 10 points and given up probably 30. So they're not going to help you get the over. Let's see what Central is up to. They beat Akron 17-10, lost to Buffalo, put up 26 on Eastern, 34 to South Alabama, 17 on Notre Dame. So they've been getting better, but still 17-10 to Akron doesn't install me. So this game probably, I don't know. The defense is pretty bad, but we'll back off of this game. Iowa 3.5, 32.5. To Minnesota. Minnesota's an E team with a bad defense, 27. Iowa, we know. No offense, pretty good defense, especially at home, a better defense. No quarterback, he's injured. They ran the ball and beat Wisconsin somehow last week. Minnesota's been very weak. I think Iowa wins the game at home, barely. And normally you'd go under, but Minnesota's not an under team this year. So I think Iowa wins the game. I don't think you can go and fuck with the over-under. It's 32. What are you going to do? Maybe you play over 26. How are you going to do that with Iowa without a quarterback who's running? And yet to go under 38, hard to do. But probably the right play, but very hard to do because it's such a low number. So I think you take Iowa. I think they're good. They beat Wisconsin at Wisconsin. Need some water. So we'll leave that alone. Let's see. Oregon 18.5, 62.5 to Washington State. Oregon's the A team. They're coming off of a loss. Washington State's an over team, giving up 29 a game. I think Oregon at home is good, and I think the over, even though Oregon's got a 15, otherwise Washington State got killed by Arizona at home. So they got a pretty good defense. Oregon, we know, has got a pretty good defense. I think Oregon wins off the loss. I watched the highlights of that game. Is Alabama still your free pick? Yeah, once I give a free pick, I still give it. Yeah, I think it's revenge. I don't like Tennessee's quarterback. very good. Milton from Michigan. I was watching the A&M game, and he couldn't, he kept throwing the ball behind and all that. And I just don't think he's that accurate. Big fucking pits. So if he's not that accurate, he's going to be in for a bad time against Alabama. Right. So I love the spread at 8.5. Milrose is getting better. I don't think Tennessee's got a 17 defense. I do believe Alabama's got a 16. And in a revenge game, and Alabama can't lose. I definitely like Alabama here. So Oregon, Washington State just lost 41-6 at home to Arizona. Okay. They're going to Oregon. They're pissed. They lost to Washington. They can't afford another loss. Now, what I was saying is I watched the highlights. This Oregon coach is an idiot. 3 times he went for it on 4th down. He didn't get any of them. And I don't understand the announcers. Oh, that was a good call. It was a good call. So if I bet $100,000 on Oregon and I lose, you're going to say it's a good bet, but I lost? No, it's a bad bet if I lose. It's a good bet if I win. So the guy goes for it 3 times. It cost him 2 field goals. And he did it at midfield at the final minute of the game, which he could have punted Washington back to the 10-yard line and made him go 90 yards. And psychologically, it's a huge difference if they're looking at they got to go 90 yards versus 50. So would they have still scored? But if Oregon kicks the 2 field goals, they're up by 3. And if they don't care if the guy makes it or not, they just take a knee. Now, Washington also went for it on 4th at the goal line and didn't get it. So these coaches are getting stupider and stupider. You've got to understand the game, who you're playing, and the consequences if you don't make it. I mean, they go for these 4th downs like they're 90%, they're going to get it. It's a big game. You can't give out momentum like that. So they're missing 2 things. The momentum, get your field goals, get your points, keep the momentum, keep your field position. Just because you're at the 5-yard line, Oregon did at the end of the half. Now they're losing by 3, and they're going, well, shit, we could have kicked a field goal at the end of the half, and we'd be tied at 36. And this is for the win. But you know what? We were down there before. We could have kicked 2 field goals. We'd be up 3. So Oregon lost the game because of bad coaching. I remember Michigan, Ohio State was, I think, a 14-12 game for Ohio State, 1974, I think. Maybe 1972. And Michigan, I think it was the 14-11 game. Something like that. Michigan gets 1st and goal at the 2. 4 plays, they don't score. They get down there again, 1st and goal at the 2. Go for it on 4th down, and again don't score. They lose by 3. They had 6 points. Give me the lesson learned, because I'm really struggling to understand this go for it on 4th down and give up points. And against these defenses, you're not going to get it in a big game with a big defense. I guarantee you Penn State, Ohio State, if they go for it on fourth down, they're not getting it. Especially near the end zone because there's less room to cover. I'm not really worried about a pass. You're running it up the middle so I can defend you. So these coaches are costing their teams. I've yet to see it actually work in a big game at the goal line where they actually score the touchdown on a 4th and 1. Maybe play action pass will work, Dave Casper and the Raiders, but they're not smart enough to run that play. So basically it's just a bunch of bullshit. And these coaches are costing themselves points and emotion and field position. So Oregon should have punted that ball 100% of the time, pin them back to the 5 and say, you can go 95 yards, be my guest. But you just said, all you got to do is go 50 yards. And we're going to, we're not going to play defense. We're not going to rush. We're just going to play a zone. And you got your guy, what's cornerback to go after. And boom, boom, you did it. So here, Oregon off the loss, 18.5. Washington State looks terrible. Where's our Washington State friend who thought that the quarterback was the best in the country? Where's the Shadur guy who thought he was the best in the country? Now I can go to the Caleb Williams guy and go, he thought he was the best in the country. Anyway, it's a big number for Oregon, 18.5. They only give up 15. But when they get rolling at home and off of a loss, and Washington State's defense is bad, I think Oregon's going to kill them. I think it's a big win. Again, they're off of a loss. They need the game. Washington State's already lost a couple. But the way they lost to Arizona, ooh, shit. That's a bad loss. At home to Arizona. Alabama, 8.5, 48.5. But we just talked about it. That's the free play. They're both 18s, but I question Tennessee. Is the same as Alabama. They've struggled Alabama with Milrose, but he got better the last few weeks. Tennessee, out of their quarterback, Milton, is just not good. He wasn't good at Michigan. He's no hooker, and it's revenge. So, yeah, it's the free play, Ella fucking Bama. Northwestern, Nebraska, 11.5, 40.5. Where are you, Nebraska? Okay. 11, 40. Okay. Nebraska's an under team. Give up 21. Northwestern's more of an even team. Now, lately, the Northwestern's been throwing the ball 50 times a game. So the coach gets fired. They bring in a new coach. He switches the offense, takes a few games. I'm not going to play this one, but I think Northwestern in 17, the way they've been throwing the ball around, I think is a very good play here. Missouri, South Carolina. Missouri is 6.5, 16.5. I like Missouri a lot here. They've been playing very strong ball. They played LSU tough. They won last week. South Carolina's got a weak defense at 31. I do think this is an over also, so you could go either way. I have to check South Carolina a little bit closer. Well, let's do that now. So let's look. We know Missouri's been scoring. Cooks, their quarterback's very strong. So let's see. South Carolina, 41-39. They lost to Florida, 41-20 to Tennessee. Mississippi State's 37-30. Georgia, they played 24-14. I don't know what happened there. And North Carolina, they lose 31-17. So they put up 37 on Mississippi State, but Tennessee at 20, and then Florida at 39, which has a pretty good defense. But the notice, Florida 41, Tennessee 41, Mississippi State 30, and then only 24 for Georgia. So South Carolina is scoring and a weak defense. So this, you can go, I think over. Missouri's a 25. I think you can go over on this game. This is a good game here. Tulane and Texas. Tulane is a 20.5, 62.5. They're the A team. They got the quarterback back. They're very strong. North Texas is an over. So now what do you do with this? Tulane with an 18 defense, strong offense, strong quarterback, good coach. North Texas over team gives up 36 a game. Tulane's going to light them up. The over 62 in the game. Does North Texas score? So we got to really look at North Texas and Tulane to see, can North Texas score? Against Temple, they put up 45. Against the Navy, they played a 27-24. To L-Tech, 40-37. Florida International, 49-46. So what we see here, Cal 58-20, we see they're going to give up points. They lost to the Navy. Okay, they beat Temple. And then we go to Tulane. Now let's see how strong their defense is. 37-20, they lose to Ole Miss. The quarterback was out. They beat Southern Miss 21-3. UAB, they play a 35-23 game, and then Memphis a 31-21. So those two teams are explosive. So they played a 58 and a 52, and this is a 62 to North Texas. Yeah, I think this is a Tulane play here. They got to give up 14. What did North Texas do? They're pretty bad, aren't they? Yeah, 46 to Florida International, 37 to L-Tech, 31 to Abilene Christian, 27 to the Navy, 58 to Cal. This should be Tulane should kill them, I think. They're going to kill them. They're going to kill them. They're going to kill them. Yeah, I think this is a Tulane. Toledo, Miami of Ohio, this is for the MAC championship. These are the two best. These are the A teams. Toledo, 1.5, 49.5. I think Miami of Ohio is a live dog in this game. Texas, Houston, Texas off of a loss, 22-60. Houston, very weak defense, giving up 31. I don't like their quarterback, and now he's going to face Texas, who's mad. They're laying 22, over under of 61. Texas is going to score a ton here because they're off a loss, and Houston, I think they're just going to shut down their quarterback. I think this is a Texas play off of a loss. UTSA 3, 59.5 to Florida Atlantic. UTSA is the over team. Frank Harris is back. They give up 27. Florida Atlantic has a backup quarterback who's starting to play better with the 3. So it's a 3, 30-23. They're an E23. I like UTSA as the dog here. I don't know. This seems like I'm not really sure what to do with this one. UTSA over Florida Atlantic with their backup. It's a pass. Hawaii 159 to New Mexico. This is over versus over, so I like the over in this game. Very simple. North Carolina 23.5, 56.5 to Virginia. North Carolina's an A team, playing pretty strong. 21 defense. Virginia with the 32 defense and a W. This is all North Carolina. They should kill. They beat Miami 41-31. Scoring 41 on Miami is pretty good, as bad as their coaching is. App State 6.5, 53 to Old D. Nah, that hasn't really moved. App State's an over team. They score and give up 30. Old D's an E team that gives up 26, so they're kind of both overs. I think this is an over 54. Let's check Old D's scoring. See, they played Southern Miss to a 17-13 game, which is scratch your head. 2 weeks ago. They lose to Marshall 41-35. They play Texas A&M 10-9. They play Wake 27-24. Lou Lafayette 38-31. And Virginia Tech 36-17. So I don't know that Old D is really going to score for you. 10-9 in A&M, okay, but 17-13 to Southern Miss makes no sense. And then they get a 35 on Marshall and a 24 on Wake. So I don't know what to do with Old D. But then who are they playing? App State. App State's been very high scoring. So I think App State's a play here. I don't know we can trust on Old D. We got to see what's going on with the Old D'ers. Texas Tech 4.5, 52.5 against BYU. BYU's had some injuries. They're even. They give up 26. Texas Tech. Their quarterback's out, and I'm not sure if their backup's playing with the 51. So I'm going to lay off until I see the injuries. Normally this would be over 51, but Shaw's out, the Texas Tech quarterback. We got to see the backup. And Slovis should be playing. Colorado State, UNLV. UNLV 7.5, 63.5. This is over against over, a 35 defense against 27. Both teams score. Go over. Keep it simple. Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. San Jose State, 4.5, 66.5. Same thing. Utah State, over, give up 33. San Jose State, great quarterback, over, give up 32. We go over the 66. So these are the best ones. They score a lot and their defense sucks. Mountain West, that's the best. It's sort of like in the MAC, you probably go under a little bit with the weak offenses there. And you got so many Z teams, but see, they're skewed because they play Michigan and Georgia. So it looks like they can't score, but in the league, you got to see them. That's the problem with some of these Conference USA and MAC. If they played the Alabama, the Georgias, the Michigans, the USCs, like Nevada played USC, lose 63-7, but are they that bad? Coastal Carolina, 10.5, 16.5 to Arkansas State. Coastal Carolina, 10.5, 16.5. They're a B team. They give up 23. Arkansas State's the W. Coastal Carolina, they got new coaches. The other coach went to Liberty, and they don't look that good either. They're scoring. So Coastal Carolina isn't scoring the way they should because they lost their coach. Yeah, it's nip and tuck. I'm not going to lay. Arkansas State's pretty bad, but Coastal Carolina hasn't been looking too good. TCU, Kansas State. Kansas State 6.5, 59.5. TCU is a B team. Give up 20. K-State's an A team. Give up 21. K-State's been looking pretty good. TCU lost their quarterback Morris as the backup in, but it's the offense is kind of their own style. The coach is very good, offensive minded. He was a Washington State coach. He was like their offensive coordinator, went on to TCU as the head coach. So he runs a lot of Washington State with Mike Leach style. Both good defenses. 59. K-State. We got to check out TCU's quarterback. I think K-State wins here just because it's at home, but we'll see. Ole Miss, 6.5, 55 to Auburn. Ole Miss is an A team, gives up 24. Auburn's an E team, gives up 23. But as we've seen, they've looked pretty bad the last few weeks. I like Ole Miss here. I think they win. Lean the one. I just think they're the better team. Michigan, 24.5, 47.5. To Old Michigan State. Now, normally this should be Michigan's a 7 defense. Michigan's ace of 24. They gave Rutgers, they got a few interceptions to Rutgers, and then they couldn't handle a punt, and then Rutgers ran it down their throats. Michigan's going to run it down their throats easily with the 7 defense. But Michigan State has a way of playing them tough, even though they're outmanned. And it's at East Lansing. I just think it's an under. I think Michigan will run and play it safe, and Michigan State won't be able to do shit against this defense. They got interceptions against Rutgers. I think Michigan's going to just run it. I don't think they're going to throw too often. And if they do, it should be open. Michigan is much the better team here, but it's the rivalry. So Michigan State plays them tough at home. I don't know. They can't beat, Brother Rice High School. But when they play Michigan, they can win or play them tough. So I just think this will be I can't take Michigan minus 18. I've done it too many times and lost too many times with it. I think the only way you could, 47, you go under 53. I think you could get away with that just because I don't think State can do much on Michigan. And I think Michigan just runs it down their throat like Rutgers did. So maybe 31-7, somewhere in that neighborhood, 31-10, 28-10, something where they don't cover the 24. But I think it's an under. Duke and Florida State, 13.5, 48.5. Okay, so this game will be low scoring. They're both A teams. Duke's a 10 defense. Florida State's an 18. Riley Leonard's questionable. They didn't throw the ball last week against North Carolina State. They beat them 24-3. I saw the backup quarterback. They did a stop and go. That he hit a 70-yard pass on NC State. So he's capable of throwing it long. He didn't look very good, but he made it, that play. He looked good. It's at Florida State. Duke's defense is killer. I just think this will be low scoring. I think Duke in 20 is okay, but I think under the 55 is a little bit better. Because Florida State's going to struggle to get to 20 on this game. Great defense at Duke. Bobby's team against Army. Army's quarterback, I think, is out 30 and 57. LSU gives up 30 and scores a lot. Army's an under team, but Army's not the type of team to take advantage of LSU. So if you played Oregon against LSU, Oregon would light them up, or Washington would light them up, or USC would light them up. Utah with Rising would light them up. But when you get to Army, they don't really have the offense, even though they put in the new passing offense. If the quarterbacks are injured, they can't really light up LSU. So I think LSU, maybe it's a little tighter than we think just because Army's going to run it down their throats. But probably an over 57 because I think LSU scores a lot here and gives up a lot. Clemson, Miami. Clemson 3.5, 48.5. Both teams are A's. Both teams are 19 defense. but Miami doesn't have a coach. The coach has his head way up his ass. I think Clemson wins this game, but I'm not jumping on it. Miami has the talent, but lost to North Carolina 41. Yeah, I think Clemson wins the game. As far as over under 49, I just think there's two good defenses. I think this should be low scoring. I know I have over circled, but I don't know. I think this is under. I think the offensive coordinator is so bad, he won't take a knee if they're winning, that I don't know what to do with this guy. USC, Utah, 6.5, 55.5. Absolutely love the under in this game. I doubt Rising will be playing because it's the LA Ram team doctor apparently making the decision. I was talking to my Utah buddy about it yesterday. So I said what I would do is I would write the NCAA and say, I'm going to have my hospital orthopedic surgeon take a look at it. And if he thinks he can play, since I can't get a response from the Ram team doctor, who's obviously biased for USC, I'm not going to listen to him or wait for him. But I will have a note from the Utah team, orthopedic surgeon from the hospital at the University of Utah. If he says he's okay, I don't know what this LA guy is waiting for. But apparently he keeps waiting till game time. So they'll say, is he playing? And he'll say, well, he might be able to. We'll know more at game time. And then at game time, he'll say, no, he can't play. And it's fucking up Utah because they're practicing as if he's healthy, he's ready to go. So Rising says, I'm ready to go. I don't have my knee's fine. I'm practicing. I'm throwing the ball. I'm doing the drills. What the fuck's going on here? And the doctor, who is the Ram doctor, who obviously is a USC fan, even though he went to Notre Dame, is the one keeping him out. My question I keep asking my friend is the doctor coming in and doing a physical on him a half hour before game time? So the LA Ram doctor is flying to Utah every week or where? Now, here's where I got him. This game's at USC. The doctor should actually be there. Now, I said to my friend, I'll bet you $1,000 that he doesn't play this week, but he plays next week because it'll be after the USC game. And again, I would sue the doctor. Clearly, Rising's ready to go. The Utah doctor says he's ready to go. I would sue the doctor, and I would write to the NCAA, I'm playing him because my orthopedic surgeon says yes. This is absolutely ridiculous, especially making him wait to game time. So the coach wants to know now so he can set up practice because Rising's not playing. But what's he been doing? Rising has been getting half the snaps because he thinks Rising's going to play. So Rising needs to practice. But then game time, and they don't know game time. Game time comes and the doctor's fucking around with them saying, well, gosh darn it, he's not ready to go. And my question to my friend is the doctor at the game? Are they doing a Skype where the doctor can see him? Is that when he bends his knee 90 degrees, he can play? What is the holdup? At what point is he now ready to play that he can't play on? And he's doing the same thing with the tight end, who's All-American, first-round draft pick, Guthrie, and he's not letting him play. And I'd be like, fuck this guy. Only if the University of Utah's orthopedic surgeon says he looks fine to me, then what the fuck do you need this LA Ram doctor who's pro-USC keeping him out? Then I wouldn't listen to him. And I don't know what the NCAA rules are. It sounds like the doctor who did it has to be the one to approve it. But with so much politics and so corrupt that I can't imagine that he's being fair with Rising, because apparently Rising's ready to go. He's practicing. He's ready to go. And the doctor for Utah is saying he's ready to go. So I think what you're dealing with here is corruption. The doctor should be barred from doing anybody's. He does the Rams, and Stafford. He didn't let him back last year. At least Stafford's ready to go this year. But I would be very leery of this doctor, unless he gives me an explanation. Why is he fucking waiting until game time? He was supposed to start the Florida game. We are now in week 8. That was 7 weeks ago. He was ready to go for Florida, and they kept him out. Well, wait, it's been 8 weeks, and he's still keeping him out? So, and all the drama with it. It's a soap opera. Well, we'll wait until game time. Well, fuck. What are you waiting until game time for? What do you are? And that's where I'm really struggling. Is the doctor checking him out an hour before game time, saying, "Nope, gosh darn it, he's not ready." Is that what he's doing, or what is he doing? We don't know. But the coach is pissed off because he says, "Just tell me the beginning of the week." Well, he could play game time. No, apparently he can't. I'll bet anybody $1,000 there's no way he plays against USC because the doctor's obviously biased for USC being in California. And then I will bet anybody $1,000 he plays the following week. So the doctor's keeping him out till after the USC game, basically. And it's all bullshit, but that's the country we live in, a very corrupt one. So I don't buy that Rising can't play. And again, I would sue. And again, I would tell the NCAA, I'm going to have my own orthopedic, says he's fine, he's playing. I don't know what they're going to, so obviously the rule is you can't play until he's approved by the operating doctor, but I would say he's corrupt. My University of Utah doctor says he's fine, he's playing. Because this is costing them millions of dollars. They could be in the playoff. They're one of the top two or three teams with this defense. If Rising plays and the tight end plays, nobody's going to beat them. Maybe Georgia. That's it. They'll run the Pac-10. So again, so what they're doing this week is they're just focusing on running the ball down USC's throat and watching the Notre Dame film, going, okay, this is how we're going to play defense on them. USC doesn't have a chance in this game. They're going to kill them. This defense is going to be all over Williams. He's going to get sacked 5 times, and USC and Utah's just going to run the ball down their throat because they're just so frustrated with this doctor. So they're going to get what they want. But 55, I'm ready to lock this game under 61. There's no way this is high scoring. Lou Lafayette, 3.5, 63 to Georgia State. Georgia State's a B team, gives up 24. Lou Lafayette's an over team. Those almost over against over. Let's go into it. So we know Lou Lafayette's over. Let's go into Georgia State. Are they an over? Did they play like Michigan or Ohio State? Let's go. They beat Connecticut 35-14. Charlton. Is there a Charlton? No, I don't know what this Charlton. This is the second team to play Charlton. Coastal Carolina 30-17. They lost to Troy 28-7, and then they beat Marshall 41-24. So they're really not an over team. They got a fairly good defense, Georgia State. Yeah, so the 24 probably but they gave up 35 to Rhode Island, and that was the worst they did. They're probably not. If you throw them out, they're probably in the low 20, probably like a 22. So, yeah, you can't go over with this, I don't believe. And they don't score a lot. They scored 7 on Troy, 30 on Coastal, 41 on Charlton, 35 on Connecticut. So this is not a high-scoring team. So forget the over on this game. Maybe you take them as the dog, but Nevada, San Diego State, 13.5, 47.5. No, San Diego State, 13.5, 47.5. San Diego State's a W. Nevada's a Z, partly because they lost 63-7 to SC. So that's kind of skewed them. But last week, Vegas did kill them. So that's probably what they are. San Diego State's just pathetic this year. I've never seen their defense this bad. So you got 2 terrible offenses against 2 terrible defenses. I don't know what you do. Over under 47, I would think you go over, but I don't know. We'll check that out. We'll do some more research. UCLA 17-54 to Stanford. UCLA's an A team, a 16 defense. The quarterback's raw. He's a freshman. He's throwing picks. Stanford, they lit up Colorado, which is, we could get a team here with Bobby quarterbacking to light up Colorado. Stanford gives up 36 a game. UCLA with a good defense. I can see UCLA beating them. What will Stanford do? But I don't think they're going to do anything on UCLA's defense. So I think this is a UCLA play. And that may be an over. And last but not least, Washington 26-58 to Arizona State. Washington, clearly the A team, in charge of the Pac-10 for now. Arizona State's a W. They've had quarterback issues, but look at their defense, gives up 28. I think Washington at home after this, they'll be a little flat because it was an emotional win against Oregon, but I don't see this coach is so good, making Penix look good. I don't see how Arizona State. Well, let's look at Arizona State and see who they played that's close to Washington, and see how many points they've given up. USC, okay, 42-28 to USC. Cal 24-21. Colorado 27-24. So they've been playing close against these explosive teams, right? USC, 42-28, 24-21 to Cal, 27-24 to Colorado, who has no defense. Fresno beat them 29-0, but see, then they didn't have they played a pretty tough schedule. Oak State, 27-15, but they didn't have their offense either. So in the last three games, they've given up about 30 points to USC, Colorado, and Cal, who are all very explosive teams, and they've scored in the 20s. So this is a lock over. I mean, this is 52. Washington will probably get 40, and the way Arizona State's playing, I don't see how they won't get 20. It's hard. They got 28 on USC, doesn't really count. 24 on Colorado doesn't really count. 21 on Cal, okay, maybe. So they're really not – these are very weak offensive teams that they're playing. So, yeah, that's 52. Again, Washington will put up 40-some points. Arizona State looks like they're scoring. Washington gives up 20. Yeah, Washington's going to be in the 40s. They put up 36 on Oregon. This is a 50-point. Yeah, I think Washington might get us our over, but Arizona State will help with about 20. So about 40-something to 20. They're laying 26. I'm not fucking around with that because Arizona State's not that bad. And they played these, Colorado, they held the 28. In USC, they held the 42. But Washington will be in the 40s. Because when Oregon's a 15 defense and Arizona State's a 28. And again, they played Colorado and they played SC. Colorado was a 52. Oh, yes, this is definitely 52. This is a 58. Washington's good for 40 points. Yeah, we love the over here. So our takeaway tonight, you got Florida International, Sam Houston. I don't know how you bet that. New Mexico State, Utah. Maybe you take New Mexico State. Tomorrow you got Rice, Tulsa, James Madison, Marshall. The first game, the Rice game's over versus over. And in the James Madison Marshall game, you got the A-team James Madison against the over Marshall. Friday, we got SMU Temple. SMU should bury them. And then Saturday, big games. Oklahoma. We got Rutgers, Indiana, Penn State, Ohio State, Mississippi State and Arkansas, Baylor, Cincinnati, the Air Force and Navy, Oak State, West Virginia, South Carolina, Missouri. We don't know what to do with Wisconsin. Keep in mind, it's Wisconsin against their old coach, who's now at Illinois, who looks like Humpty Dumpty. Guy will be lucky to live another week the way he looks. His blood pressure must be 500. I mean, that guy's so fat. Insulin resistance up the ass. The guy's probably he probably has sugar and he goes to sleep. So I don't know. So there is revenge for Illinois against their old team with the quarterback out. So Illinois might get the W. Coming up, we got Oregon, Washington State. We got Alabama, the free pick against Tennessee. We've got Toledo, Miami of Ohio. That's for the MAC championship. Texas off the loss to Houston. Oregon off the loss to Washington State. We've got TCU, K-State. Should be a good game. Colorado State and Vegas, the overs. Utah State, San Jose State, the overs. Florida State, Duke should be a very good game. Michigan State should be a very good game. LSU Army, Bobby's going to be playing in it. Clemson, Miami of Florida, very good game. Bad coaching. Utah, USC, I'm calling for an under. And UCLA, Stanford, and last but not least, Washington, Arizona State. That's your 10:30 game. So there's a good handful of games that we will be betting. Never have so this is why I get better during the year. Now I can bet the Colorado State Vegas game over. Now I see they're over teams. I don't know they're over teams week 1, week 2, week 3. They play the high school teams. They play the Michigans and the Notre Dames, and you really have no idea. But now we've got them in conference. We see their scoring. We can look at their quarterbacks. We can look at their defense. And now we can go, yeah, I'm playing that game over. Or Utah State, San Jose. I can play that game over because I can see what they're doing. Duke, we know, is a fucking 10 defense. They're playing the Steelers 70. They're playing the 74 Steeler defense. You can't even move on them. Michigan's got a 7 defense. USC, Utah. Utah's got a 12 defense. So we pretty much knew Utah. We didn't know their defense was this strong. We see Washington. This is why I get better, because now my stats are more accurate. I can throw out when the little team plays Alabama, I can throw that out. Plus, I can throw it out for Alabama, going, well, yeah, but you beat a high school team. Let's throw that out. Rutgers, Indiana. I can see Rutgers is good. Indiana's a Z team. You don't know that before. Penn State, Ohio State. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know that I can play the dog in that game. Maybe I initially circled under, but now I'm like thinking over. But after the Notre Dame guy, I don't know what to do with it. It's a game I don't know which Ohio State team shows up and which Penn State team shows up. Ohio State's beat them 7 times in a row. This is not take the dog, Oklahoma or Oregon. This is a whole different animal. So you got to be careful here. It'll be a good game, I think, but I think it might be over 40. I think that's such a low number. But anyway, this is why I win every year, because now I don't bet on. I know what team to now stay away from, right? Versus, maybe I liked TCU. Oh, they got an injury. Stay away from them. Or, Texas Tech. Well, they got an injury. Stay away. Or Miami. So Michigan State, the whole team's injured. The coach is gone. So it gives you a better flavor what to do. It's funny, Michigan. This is week 8. They played 7 games. I have no idea. They haven't played anybody that's any good. Their whole schedule is a joke. I think the best team they played was UNLV. right? So what do you – I don't know Michigan's any good. I don't know their defense is any good. They haven't played a team that has a good quarterback. Northwestern with Heinrich Himmler. You've got Minnesota, who sucks. You've got Indiana, who sucks. Bowling Green, Vegas. Vegas is probably good. So they haven't played. It's like the Lions. They haven't played. The Lions played one good quarterback in Seattle, and they killed them. Then they play a bunch of terrible quarterbacks, and then, oh, look how good they are. They haven't played anybody. They play high school quarterbacks. What do you expect from them? And that's the same thing with Michigan. This is why Michigan State gives them trouble. When you play 7 games and you have no idea about the team after 7 weeks, right? This is the problem with college. Ohio State played Notre Dame. At least we have some idea. Penn State hasn't played anybody. They played West Virginia. They played Iowa, all right, doesn't have an offense. They played West Virginia, who doesn't have an offense. Or maybe they do now, but not in week 1. So a lot of these teams are still hidden from you because you haven't seen the game. I know more about Kansas and Oak State because they played each other last week than I know about Michigan and Penn State and half these, some of these teams. It's ridiculous. Clemson, I know, they got their ass kicked by Duke. So I know Duke because they killed Clemson and they should have beat Notre Dame. So that gives me a little bit of Notre Dame. They actually beat Duke. Like, look how good they must be. But, yeah, I mean, some of these games you just you learn, but it's amazing how after 7 weeks you have no idea about Michigan. You have no idea because they haven't played. They look like a good run team, but they haven't played anybody. They look like a good defense. They haven't played a quarterback who can throw the ball 10 yards. That's how weak Minnesota is. That's how weak Indiana is. Minnesota, Indiana, and then Vegas, and then Bowling Green. What have you? So you think they have a good defense? Again, that's like the Lions. Oh, they're a good team. They haven't played anybody. They played one team, Seattle, and lost. They beat Carolina, who has no quarterback. They played Tampa, who has no quarterback. They played Atlanta, who Riddler has can't throw the ball. And they played Green Bay and Love, who sucks. So 4 teams, 4 wins against 4 high school quarterbacks. I won't dissolute the college quarterbacks who are 10 times better than what they're throwing out there. You're kidding me with Riddler and Mayfield and Young and Love, and I can give you Hartman, Van Dyke, Penix, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, Rising, the guy from Tulane. I mean, I can give you quarterbacks on and on and on that are much better than these clowns. I can give you Trask, who's in the league, he can't play, and Greer, who's on Dallas, who maybe they cut him because they got Trey Lance, who doesn't even know how good he is. I mean, this is just sad. So that's really the problem. It's like when whatchamacallit from Boise, what's his name? The San Diego offensive coordinator, Kellen Winslow or Kellen Moore. He couldn't play. He couldn't get on the field in Detroit, but he was better than half the quarterbacks. Then he finally plays one game, throws for 400 yards. Then he breaks his ankle. But what the fuck? I mean, this is the point. You have much better players, Trask and Greer, and in college than you got on half the NFL teams. I don't get what the NFL is looking at. These GMs are out of their fucking minds. The coaches are horrible. The offensive, defensive coordinators are horrible. They go for 4th down like it's a gimme, and then they don't get it, and then everybody apologizes. Well, that's okay. San Diego went at their own 20 and didn't get it, but they were aggressive. They were playing to win. No, they weren't. They're playing to lose. If they're playing to win, you punt the ball and say, you know what, I have a really good defense that's going to stop you. You're never going to drive the whole field. That's what a good coach does when he knows what he's doing. A bad coach goes for it, says, well, yeah, I could have punted, but if we got the first down, we would have won the game. But you didn't get the first down. You didn't win. That's like saying playing blackjack. Well, if I would have hit, I could have got 21. You got 16. The dealer's got a 2-up. Why would you hit? Yeah, but I could have got the 5 and 1. I could have bet Reddit roulette. It's so stupid. You could have, but the odds, you're not going to. You're not going to win. What the fuck are you doing? And that's what we're dealing with here are these idiots that are saying, well, it's a good play because he's going for it. And when he doesn't make it, nobody's saying it's a bad play. They're saying, well, that was good. He was aggressive. He's trying to win the game. Is that really trying to win the game? Do they not have a defense? If you're trying to win the game, you'd punt the ball and play defense. That's how I'm going to let my defense win it. That takes me back to the Steelers and the one game when Bradshaw gets knocked out against Dallas and Hanratty comes in and they take a knee on 4th down instead of punting because they didn't want to get the punt blocked. And then he says, it's in my defense's hand and I trust my defense. Yeah, Joe Green, Lambert, Ham. Yeah, I can understand why you did that. It didn't make sense watching it, but he didn't want to get the punt blocked. But in this situation, these coaches just have their heads so far up their ass, they don't know what they're doing. The Oregon guy, in a game like that, you kick your field goals, especially 4th and 5 at the end of the half. Get the momentum. You gave Washington the momentum. How is that? So how is going forward on 4th down and not getting it good? Well, it's aggressive. No, it's not. It's stupid. You have a defense. Oregon, you have a 15 defense. Let them play defense, especially at the end of the game. That was embarrassing. Punt the ball, make them go 90 yards with your 15 defense. They ain't going to score. Instead, you give them the ball at the 50. You've deflated your own team. You fucked your own team over with your stupid play call. You didn't get it. You weren't close on it. And then 2 plays later, they score because you've dejected your whole team. What the fuck are you doing? So this is the problem with these. But the good coaches punt. You watch. Nick Saban punts the ball. Most of these good coaches punt the ball. The Duke coach will punt the ball, especially when you got good defenses. Utah coach, I guarantee you, he punts the ball. He's got a killer defense. I'm going to punt the ball and let my defense get the turnover. Or I got a better chance punting the ball. If I'm Utah or Duke, I got a better chance not going for it on 4th, punting the ball and getting a turnover than I do going for it at 4, giving him the ball at the 50 instead of giving him the ball at the 10 with my defense. And this is the point that these idiots don't understand is let your defense win. In Oregon's case, it was halftime. Kick your field goal, which you lost by 3, and you had it. The fuck are you doing giving up 3 points? In a game like this, you can't do that. You can't just go 4th and 5 like it's easy to get 5 yards at the 5-yard line. It's extremely difficult because you can't throw. There's not enough room to throw. You have to run it in, but they didn't run it. They tried throwing it. It was a stupid play. And these little sideline passes to the pylon, which never work, or it's a miracle if it works. So it's just really stupid. Anyway, tomorrow, Jacksonville, New Orleans. New Orleans is 339. Trevor Lawrence is day-to-day with a knee. Carr, a lot of them got hurt last week, so we're waiting on. Big trend on Jacksonville. But New Orleans with Kamara and all that, we will see. But we'll wait till tomorrow to see if Lawrence is playing. That's the problem with the NFL. It's a little too early. We can look tomorrow for injuries for tomorrow's game, and then we really want to look on Friday for the Sunday games for injuries. But I did all my work, so I've got the trends and I've got the team types all done. But we'll get into that tomorrow. So again, gold. If you're wondering, should I spend dollars? Should I spend bullshit money that's worthless for real money gold? The answer is of course. And you're not spending a nickel. This is not being spent. This is this is like I'm selling this to get this. That's all this is I'm trading. I'm making a trade. And this has value. So let me get my silver. So we've got a 20 full of silver. 1 troy ounce, 999. It looks like silver, right? 1 troy ounce, fine silver. So you can tell just by looking at it that it's silver, right? It's got a nice silver color, right? I can sell it to anybody. I can say, here, I can give it to a friend and say, here's silver, which I did to the lifeguard. Gave her some ounces. I said, here you go. She said, yep, that's silver. It looks silver. It says one. She thought, wow, this is real nice. So you have no problem selling it and no problem that people don't realize what they have. So let's play the game. What would you rather have? Now, you can get this for $25, or I have $25 of this. Now, what would you rather do? This is going to zero. It is going to zero. There's no question. You cannot see, if you keep printing this, it becomes a Topps baseball card. That's why the cards have no value, because you printed too many of them. Right? So this has no value going down. This, however, has been suppressed. So this $25 is really worth a lot more. First of all, gold doesn't wear out, silver does. So as they put it into the batteries of the car and into the computers and into the phones, it wears out. And that's it. The silver's done. So once it wears out, you got to replenish. So that makes the supply limited. This is real money, just like gold. This isn't real money. So this is real money. This isn't. So if I go to Kroger's, when this loses value, this value goes up because you've killed this, and now you're either pricing things in silver or not. Now you're not going to go to Kroger's and say, here, I want milk. Here's a silver ounce, give me change, because they're not going to. First of all, this is how stupid these economists are. When this goes out, eggs aren't going to be priced at $3.99, and here comes the silver at $25. When this goes to zero, you won't have prices on eggs or milk or my Canadian Club or tuna fish. None of it will be priced because it won't have a value, because this doesn't exist anymore. As your credit cards won't have a value, it'll be zero. So will your mortgage. However, your house also won't have a value, and neither will your car. So you might own a mortgage on your house, which will go to zero, but the value of the house goes to zero. But what they're not telling you is, you come along with gold and say, here's a couple ounces of gold I want in your house. And the guy's going to be doing handstands, running down the street, thanking God that somebody's giving him gold for his house. Gold will then be the money. That's the point of this. This is the money. So if you got 50,000 in the bank of this is going, they're just, because they keep printing it, right? It's going to zero. But this has been held down by JP Morgan. They can't compete. This will always beat this. Can't compete. So JP Morgan's fucking around. So the value of this is probably $1,000, but they want to hide it from you because they want you to buy this, because this is the 60-year-old fat lady and this is the hot 20-year-old. They won't let her come out. They keep her in the back room, and then you got this one. And so they keep pushing this and keep pushing you away from this. Aha, but that's wrong. This is limited. This is money. The Romans used it, good enough for me. This is not. This is paper, because this is not backed by anything. This is, think of it as a balloon without anything holding it in. So it's a helium balloon. It just goes up. There's no anchor. So the balloon will just keep rising. This has no value in the beginning, and it has no value now, not since 1971. So no value. But the value's been crushed because of JP Morgan and paper silver, which are derivatives and options. When they're printing a million ounces of silver and they don't have it. So they're doing totally illegal stuff where they don't have the silver to do the option. You can't do an option or derivative without the physical. So they're trying to sell things they don't have. Well, that's bullshit. That's going to blow up. I guarantee it. And that's what's happening. So the Russians are going, yeah, we're going to come out with our ruble backed by gold and silver. Gold and silver go hand in hand. If gold's going up, silver's going up. It doesn't like gold goes up and silver doesn't. And again, it's being held down. So it's manipulated for 50 years. So once we get a true price on this, add at least 1 0, if not 2 to it. It'll be $1,000 at least, on its way to 5,000. And once people realize this really has a value, that it's being priced in paper silver, not physical silver, once people wake up and realize that this really has a value, this really is money, I'll be able to go to the grocery store and feed my family with this, but I won't be able with that. So when the collapse happens, all that's happening is this is collapsing, because this isn't worth anything now. People are just realizing. But then we'll be doing this. Oh, but how about the people who don't own gold and silver? Well, they'll be able to get it, and they need to get out of this. So people that don't know what they're doing aren't getting out of this, so therefore they don't realize it. And now what'll also happen is, more than likely, the government comes out and starts printing, USD2. That'll be your medium of exchange. That's what's going to happen. And off they go. And that's what will happen. So this collapses, but USD2 comes out, but then gold and silver goes to the moon. And so this will be used to go to the grocery store and the dinners and pay your rent and pay your utilities. And then this value will just zoom. So holding this, it's going to go out. Now, more than likely, they'll come out with this too. Now, if they try to do CBDCs, but they're still paper and they're not backed by gold and silver, they won't work. And nobody, people maybe start realizing, oh, wait a minute, it's not backed by gold or silver, it's not worth anything. And the CBDCs aren't backed by gold and silver. Hopefully, they'll start realizing, I don't want to be in that. I want to be in this. Now, this you can still get $25 for $1,000 ounce. Every time I go to the coin store and buy, I just laugh my ass off. I go, thanks for selling me $1,000 an ounce silver for $25. That's exactly what it is. So you're just waiting for this to finally have the value that it should have in a physical market, much like the Joe Montana rookie cards, 125,000. Well, how does it reach that value? Because that's a free market value. This is not a free market. So when this goes to free market, and a free market is, I have this silver, would you like to buy it? And then somebody says yes. And we don't have the paper to distort the value. And this is $1,000 an ounce. And I have this for $1,000. Somebody buys it. That's a free market. That is not what we have with gold and silver, because JP Morgan and the corrupt government wants you to stay in this, because this is what they print. The Problem is the rest of the world's like, fuck you. Gold, Russia's got 32,000 tons and China 60,000 tons. And they're like, we're onto your game. We don't want this. We want this. And that's what's happening. So and then all these countries don't want this. They don't want to be controlled by the U.S. They don't want to, if you don't do it, we're going to, what's the word? I want to say supplant for some reason, but damn. They want to not be suppressed. So that's what's happening. So to not be suppressed, you get out of this. You can't suppress this once this hits physical market. I've got it. You can't do anything. I've got all this. I've got 20 of them. You can't fuck with me. This you can print. So because JP Morgan can print these and they can do these bullshit derivatives, which are totally illegal, they can control the price of that. They can control the price of this with the illegal derivatives, right? So they can, with these illegal derivatives, they can control the price with this. But once you get away from derivatives, and this is free market, they can't control the price. So my thesis is they won't be able to control the price. Right. Once they can't, and once it's free market, Joe Montana 125,000. Once this hits the free market and is not controlled by the derivatives anymore, this will be $2,000-$3,000 an ounce because it's very limited. It's real money. There is no competition, and nobody's going to want this. Now, what the government does, as corrupt as they are, they don't want to teach it. So nobody's teaching gold and silver but moi. And how did I learn? In a Austrian economics class where they taught moi this, but they don't teach it anymore. So they don't want you to understand what's really going on. This is how corrupt the fucking government is. They won't allow you to learn that this is real and this is bullshit and this should be banned and derivatives should be banned. By the way, you want this, you don't want that. That's what should be taught, but then they'll be exposed that they're all criminals, which we already know. So anybody that believes the government has serious mental issues, far, far above whatever. These people have got to be the stupidest, most insecure people in the world to believe the government, who has their own agenda, just like when we talk Wall Street, and their agenda is to sell the real estate trust and sell the stocks because all they care about is commission. They don't care if you make money. They only care that they make money. They only want to sell you to make commission. They don't want to sell you so you make money. The guy at the bank wanted to sell me a fucking annuity. Well, you'll get 9% on the annuity. And I go, yeah, but the problem is it's still going to be in this. And I want to be in this. So I don't care that I'm getting 9% of zero. I do care that I have silver. And I told him to go fuck himself. He then went and said, well, is it, what do you call it? He got me. He started talking elastic and inelastic. I go, that's Keynesian. I don't pay attention to that. I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't know if elastic is as good or inelastic's good. I can't figure it out. I know it's something to do with a rubber band, but I don't really give a fuck. It doesn't have anything to do with this. So I said, I don't want to be 9% in this. I want to be in this. Not a hard concept, but he doesn't get commission if I buy this. The only guy that makes out is the guy at the coin store because I give him this bullshit, get rid of this, and I buy this. That's the beauty of it. He doesn't even understand. He's pricing this in paper, in a paper price. He's not even pricing this in physical. He's pricing this in paper. So he's making his little nickels. I go, if I was running the store, anybody that brought in gold, first of all, they sell it at spot, which pisses me off. Look, if you're at the grocery store and, you're going to sell this for $50. Okay, well, that's actually a bad example. If I pay $40 for this, and I put it on my shelf at $60, then I expect 60, but I don't pay 60. So yeah, the premium makes sense. Let me retract that. But if I return that, I should get the sale price. So the difference is if I buy it costs him 40, he sells it for 60, but I return it, I should get 60, not 40 for it. So if I buy this for $50 and then I go back to sell it back to him, I should get the 50. Not, well, the spot's 40, so we're only going to give you 40 for it. Now, silver does not have that much of a premium, and it's so undervalued. You can't go wrong in silver. Gold, like I was telling Todd, you got $100 premium. So if it's $19.50, you're going to pay $20.50. But gold's going to go to 20,000. So who cares if you pay an extra 100? This is going to go to 2,000, and you're buying it for 24, 25. Who gives a fuck? And that's really the whole key to it. So yes, I like. This is now people say I'd rather have silver than gold. It's way underpriced. The difference is this is $25 going to, let's say, 2,500. So you're going to make 1,000% on it with zero risk, but the gold will go from 2,000 to 20,000. So as nice as this is to go to 2,000 or 2,500, gold's the big daddy going from $2,000 to 20 or 40. Eventually, this goes to zero. This is then doesn't use this to get value. So this is right now $25 priced in dollars for this ounce. This goes away. Now, this is not priced in dollars. It's priced in gold and silver. Now, when they come out with the new dollar, then depending if we're still on the paper, which I don't think we will be, this won't be affected. This will come in, but this will not go back to derivatives. This will just be, whatever, 2,000 an ounce. Because once it gets priced in silver, we're not going to go back to dollars. So that's what will happen. This new dollar comes out. That's why everybody is so worried about barter and all that. It's just all bullshit. That's not really what's going to happen. So with that said, that's the game is to get out of this before it goes to zero. But they don't want to tell you that because really it's the corruption and it's the improper management of the money. The person in charge should go to jail for what they're doing, right? It's horrible what they're doing. Because they're ruining the money. How do they not understand the concept of if you keep printing, it goes to zero? Yet the Keynesians will sit there and, we'll just print more money. We'll just print more. We'll pay for the debt with money. We'll just print it. Nothing will happen. What are you guys, like third graders? You're a bunch of fucking idiots. Nothing will happen if you keep printing this. Really, who's going to want it? Nobody, because there's too many out there. So it then goes back to the market. The free market says, I can only sell it if somebody wants to buy it. Okay. Does anybody want to buy this as it's losing its value? Now, we know it's lost its value, 98%. We know gold was $35 an ounce, is now $2,000. That's this going down. So we can see where this has lost value. Why isn't gold $35 an ounce? It's an ounce of gold. Why would it now be $2,000 an ounce? And then, the next thing, this goes out. That goes, then gold. See, the beauty of gold and silver, it doesn't need this. It doesn't need to be $2,000 an ounce, $2,000 an ounce goes away. Now we don't need the dollar and we still have the gold, and the gold will still keep its value. It's the only asset that will. Your house goes to zero. Your car goes to zero in dollars. So what you got to realize is this going to get changed from this to this, right? So you want to know what your car's worth? Well, it's worth zero in this. It's worth, in silver, it's worth, 30,000 let's say silver's 2,000 an ounce. This will be worth 15 ounces of silver will be your $30,000 car. So the assets switch from this to this. That's what happens, right? Because you need a medium of exchange to run an economy. So when I go work, I'm getting money in, and then I consume. So when I'm consuming, I'm spending. So in the beginning, I'm God, I can't think of that fucking word. Anyway, I'm bringing the money in to then consume it out in the marketplace, milk, eggs, rent, everything. So that's why I tell Bobby, you should get paid in this, not in this, because this isn't going to be worth anything, and this will go up to the roof. So not only going to get your money, you're going to get your money worth 1,000 times more than it's worth now. So everything will go to zero. So it's going to be the economy is not going to collapse. These guys are so. This is the problem when you listen to stockbrokers or credit analysts like Rick Rude and Reichert and all these idiots, not economists. When you listen to an economist, I explain exactly what's going to happen. Right now, the market is in this. This will go out. The market will go into this. And then there'll be a new one of these. And that's how we're going to run our market. That's how we're going to run our economy. When Adam Smith says the cupcakes are, somebody wants cupcakes, and then they raise the price a little, and then the next baker sees it, and he starts making cupcakes. You need the medium of exchange, but that never goes away. The guy still makes the cupcakes. You still want them. You still buy them. It's just you can't buy them with this, so you start buying them with this. And people can still buy silver. You know, people will have money. You'll have to get out of the money and buy this. This is all that happens. No, you're not prepared. I'm just buying it at 25 an ounce. If you wait and you don't know what's going on, and then you realize this is going out, you'll have this little period of time to sell this to buy this, but only this isn't going to be 25. This might be 250. That's all that's going to happen. And then you're going to run your economy. You're going to go to work, you're going to get paid in this and or a new one of these, and then you're going to go shopping with this or a new one of these. That's how it's going to work, not this financial collapse. The only reason 2008 collapsed, they didn't come out with new money. Had they come out with new money, nothing would have happened. The problem now with the debt, they got to come out with new money because of the debt, but the debt's in this. So $35 trillion in debt is in this, not in this. This has no debt. I don't owe anybody. I have it. It's mine. I don't owe anybody because I have this. I basically, the government owes me the dollar, but I go use it at the grocery store, and the grocer takes it, and I get my liquor. So I've worked. I produce to consume. I buy this with this. The grocer takes it. Soon I'll buy that with this, and the grocer will take it. Don't worry about getting change because he's going to change his prices from this to this and or to the new dollar. So if you check up with Venezuela, they're on their 8th Venezuela dollar because they keep inflating it because they don't get you need to back it by gold. So they just keep printing it, and then they come out with a new one and a new one. But they're not backed by gold, so they're never going to work until they back it by gold. So if you're in Venezuela, what do? You go to the grocery store, and it's $20 for the Canadian club. Then they ruin the dollar. The new dollar comes out, and now it's maybe $10. But then it goes back to 20 because you're not backing the dollar by anything. But here come the Russians and Chinese, and they go, aha. But if we back it with this, then our dollar's good, and then everybody will want it. So everybody, all the countries are getting out of this because they can see this is inflated and worthless. So there's 90 countries that say, fuck it, we don't want the U.S. dollar. But Russia and China understands, well, our dollar will be backed by this. So our dollar will be good, and everybody will want it. And then we'll be the kings. we'll have the gold, and we'll be the gold standard. So that's really what you're looking at. Is this is where we're headed. But we're ahead of the game because we know this is zero going out. We know this is undervalued, which is why we want to buy it. It's one of the biggest reasons we buy it. A, to get out of this, and B, because this is $25, that's really $2,000. So I'm out of this going to zero. I'm in this because it's 25 and it's going to 2,000. It's a double whammy. If I stay in this, which is what I tell my friends, is if you stay in it, it's going to zero. Oh, come on, Howard, how do you know? Because I got a fucking master's in economics. That's Austrian economics. And I know if you print the money, it goes to zero. Because what? Every currency in the history of the world, about 5,000 of them, who have tried not backing it by gold and silver since the beginning of time when they started using money, has gone to zero without exception. So I know that. That's a fact. So therefore, why is this going to be any different? We're America. Joe Biden. Yeah, okay. Let's watch Joe Biden bankrupt the country for some reason. Why we're not backing it by gold is just insane. Gold sold cheap now. Why aren't we buying gold? But yet the U.S. central bank does not buy gold or silver. I assume that the mafia, J.P. Morgan and Biden and all these idiots who are running the country think they can just keep printing the money and nothing will happen. This is how stupid they are. Oh, we got $1 billion. We got 10. I'm Warren Buffett, and I got $2 billion or $20 billion. Yeah, well, buddy, it's going to be worth zero. 20 billion times zero is zero. So your money is going to be worthless. Now they're going to cry and scratch and cry and, oh no, I can't go to zero, and they're fighting to keep it going. But at the end of the day, she's a fat 65-year-old and she's a hot 20-year-old. And at the end of the day, everybody wants the hot 20-year-old. Nobody wants the fat, ugly 65-year-old. That's just the way it is. It's the market. And in the market, it's what do you want? And if you ruin this, nobody wants it. And 90 countries are getting out of it. But they're looking for they're looking for an answer, and Russia said, oh, I got the answer. We'll have gold-backed BRICS or right now gold-backed ruble. That's the answer. And the U.S. can, bitch and scratch and moan. But at the end of the day, it's going to zero. They can cry all they want, but guess what? What you normally did was go to war with people to not allow them to go gold standard. But you know what? Zimbabwe has gold coins. And you know what? You can't fuck with Russia and China. These are the two people that you should have been kissing their ass to not do it. But you know what? You went to war with Russia and you sanctioned them. That's the word, sanction. And you sanctioned them, and therefore, what are you going to do? Go to war with them? Guess what? You're at war with them and you're getting killed. They're killing the Ukrainians, which are really the U.S. So you can go to war to stop them, but Putin's too smart for you. He's got 32,000 tons of gold. You've got none. He wins. And so you're not smart enough to understand this because we got idiots in charge. We got Keynesians. Keynesians are communists who believe that the government should control the market, not the people. The reason the U.S. is strong is because we've had us run the markets. We run the market. It's freedom. It's freedom to choose. You get the price and off you go. But the Keynesians don't want it. They want to be in control, but you can't control the market. You can't control what I want to eat. Do I want to eat ribs or chicken or fish? You can't control it. I eat what I want to eat. That's why it works. I don't want this money. I don't want this money. I want this money. You can't control it. There's nothing you can do. And if you do a CBDC, guess what? I'm still going to choose this because this is the only real money there is. Not this. This is paper. This is used to blow my nose. This is real money. So at the end of the day, only us understand that. The rest of these idiots don't get it. And I try to teach them in the hot tub, or I just give up. I'm like, fuck it. Good luck. Good luck buying the silver at $1,000 an ounce, and you won't have any money. So you won't be able to buy. If you want to go to digital currency and be a slave, that'd be my guess. All I can do is just warn you. If you don't want to listen because you're smarter than me, fine. And I think that's a big problem. If somebody's telling you something, maybe ask yourself, well, what's your background? Why should I trust you? Well, I got a master's in finance. That's why I say in my titles, economics, a master's class, because this is masters that I learned in 1992, 93. But if you're on YouTube and there's some idiot, why are you believing them? What's their background? Now I was listening to some economists yesterday, and I said, should I listen to him or not? And I wasn't sure what he was, but he was long-winded, so I figured he was Keynesian. And then when he started talking about prices coming down for inflation, I knew he was a Keynesian. Because inflation is printing this, not prices. Prices coming down is because of the market, not because of inflation coming down. You cannot raise interest rates, do not lower inflation. Does not low. If the interest rates are 20%, you still printed 20 trillion of these. There's still heavy inflation, especially when you print it out of thin air. Not so. If I earned it working, then it's okay. But if you're just printing it out of thin air, it's not okay, and therefore that's the problem. So anyway, that's really what's happening. The governments don't want you to know about it. I thought they were supposed to be the leaders of the country, not the criminals. So all these criminals, not only are the criminals getting elected, but there's criminals that aren't even elected. They're just these defense contractors and these rich guys who get money from their stock, like Tesla and Buffett and Zuckerberg. Well, he's an idiot. Bill Gates. These guys are not elected, yet they're trying to run things because they have money, and they're too stupid to understand what they're doing because they're not economists, and they're not listening to economists, or they're listening to Keynesian economists. They don't want to teach it. So I said, fuck you, I'm teaching it, right? It's too important. It's got to be taught. And I don't care. That's why I don't charge. I just need to teach because, as Bobby will say, shake my head. Why aren't the colleges teaching this? Why do they teach the Keynesian economics, which makes no sense, which you sit there and go, what the fuck are they talking? I got a master's. I had a Keynesian class. I had no idea what the guy was talking about. I get an Austrian class and it's everything clicks. So that's really the problem. So that's what you got to understand. Again, it's all Adam Smith. It's all freedom. It's all about we don't need the government. We only need the government to keep this safe, but they're not doing their job. They should be keeping the laws safe, but they're not doing their job. There's all this corruption. These derivatives, the central bank, it's all illegal. Where's the government keeping it safe? They're not doing their job. So that's the problem. You have all these issues with the government it's all corrupt now. I don't know what this war is with Israel. I don't know what this war is with Russia. I think we're fighting Russia. It's us against Russia. It's not Ukraine against Russia. I think the only thing is because they knew they were coming out with gold-backed currency and they were trying to stop it. And Russia said, fuck you, because the ruble is worthless, but we've got 32,000 tons of gold. We'll have our own gold standard. Oh, no, you can't. Well, fuck you. And then you sanctioned us. So now everything's done. Now, I'm not sure who did that and why. If the Russians has to be sanctioned because they have the gold, and then they can use that as the excuse. And then the U.S. will get the gold from them, and the gold value goes up. I don't really know. Nothing makes sense that we would sanction them when it doesn't make sense to do it. The Chinese are just waiting for the Russians to do it, and then the Chinese will do it. The Chinese thought process: we'll let the U.S. bankrupt themselves because they know the money's useless. They got 60,000 tons of gold. So if you really don't understand anything, just go, well, why would Putin have 32,000 tons, and why would the Chinese have 60,000 tons of gold, 32,000 ounces a ton? Why would they have this? Why would Putin, who's not a stupid man, why would he have all this gold? Because he knows that's the real value, that's the money, that's the wealth. The gold always has been the best. The Romans, the French, the Spanish, Amsterdam, England, they all were the leading ones because they had the gold. And the gold is very limited. 250,000 tons is not a lot of gold. Not the way the central banks buy it. And, me and you buy 10 ounces here. Todd's going to buy 10,000. He'll buy, for 10,000, he's getting 4 ounces of gold. And for 10,000, maybe 5. Maybe he gets 5. That's it. It's not like he's getting a ton. I mean, you're spending 10 grand. You spend 100 grand, you're getting, I think, 50 ounces. That's it. You're not getting a ton. A ton's going to cost you 32,000 ounces at $2,000 an ounce is what, $6.4 million for a ton of gold. I mean, 32,000 ounces at 3 zeros, 320, $32 million. That would cost you to get 1 ton of gold, 1 bar of gold. That's a ton. That, whatever was in money. They got 90 tons of gold, which seems like nothing. But that's, they're millions of dollars a ton. But that's the thing. But as people realize that this is not worth anything, you only, you'll buy it later, but you're not going to pay 25 an ounce for this. You're going to be paying 2,000 an ounce for this. And once the frenzy happens, once the people in that Titanic who says, well, the ship can't sink, start realizing the ship is sinking and going to sink, and the frenzy happens, what happened? Everybody ran to the lifeboat. Everybody's going to run to silver and gold. The panic's going to take over, and I need silver is going to be, well, I got some at $3,000 an ounce. And, oh yeah, I need it. And that's what'll happen. We're going to buy it at 25 because we're already seeing that frenzy's about to happen as people realize the dollar's worthless and the silver is going to be worth a ton. And that's what's coming. And people like Luke and Bobby, when's it going to happen? It's going to happen soon. You can see the wars. You can see Russia and China loading up. You can see Russia selling oil for gold. All that means we got to have a higher gold price. And that's the first point of the T. Once the gold's recognized as a higher price, and the silver is when this goes to zero, and then USD number 2 comes out, and then but this price won't go back to derivatives. It'll keep going. And that's it. So it's like the secret. It's like the guy who cheats on his wife, right? He gets away with it, and then she catches him. You can't go back. You can't okay, dear, let's forget I'm cheating on you, or vice versa. You can't. Once the cat's out of the bag that somebody's cheating on somebody, that's it. You can't go back. So once this they bust the derivatives, then you can't go back. And this goes up to 1,000 an ounce. And, they're keeping it down because they want you in dollars. But that's too many people don't want dollars. Too many countries don't want dollars. The U.S. can do all they want and bully, but they can't bully Russia and China. Russia's got to come out with gold because their ruble has no value because they can't spend it because of the U.S. sanctions, which then allows the after that point, then it allows after the sanctions to then, well, I got to go on gold because you sanctioned me. And there's nothing the U.S. can do. They're at a war with them now and they can't win. The U.S. is very disorganized. For Mark McGuire, who thinks that this is part of a plot or part of a game that is planned, he's out of his fucking mind. You're dealing with people that are so stupid they couldn't plan this for all the tea in China. It's impossible. You can't plan this. There's no way you can plan this. It's too stupid to plan. Why would you bankrupt this in the first place? You've got it. You've got the hot girl. Why would you make her fat or put her on drugs or, why would you ruin? You've got the hot girl. Why would you not want it? So now you're forcing us to the hot girl here, but you have the hot girl. You already have the hot girl. So why would you ruin the hot girl and make nobody want it anymore? That's what they've done. They basically done all that, but the sanctions aren't going to help them. China's on board. They don't give a fuck about India. It's BRICS. India's Keynesian, so they want communism. They want the government control. Russia doesn't. Russia wants the gold back, the gold standard, and so does China. That's why they got all the gold, because they know it's going to go up in value. When you fuck up your currency, it goes up in value. When it goes up in value, it's worth a hell of a lot more. And they realize that. They're not stupid. So they know that's what's going to happen, and off they go with it. So really, that's what's happening. And that's economics. Money's economics. It's the economy, but part of the economy is the money. Again, it's much better off with supply demand, with free markets, no tariffs, free trade. If whatever you want to buy, I make for you. Supply creates demand, which means if I want Canadian Club, somebody makes it for me. If I want silver, somebody makes it for me. Why did they print these? Why is this available? Because I want to buy it. And I go and I buy it with this. And they set the price very badly. But the price isn't set fairly. The price is set based on these derivative bullshit derivative options that aren't using real silver, so the real price is not close. That's the problem with it. Then people will swear, well, look, it's supply and demand. The $25 an ounce silver is really $25, and I just laugh at these people going, no, it's $2,000 an ounce, because this is suppressed and the price is based on derivatives, not on the free market where I put it on the shelf at $50 and somebody buys it. You're not putting this on the shelf. The $25 is not the real price that you're putting it on the shelf, but you don't want to put it on the shelf at $2,000. So everybody goes, this is ridiculous. That'd be like putting this on the shelf for $2 and everybody would buy it. But that's not the real price. The real price is, let's say, $50. That's what you should be selling it for. That's what people will pay for it. And that's the problem with silver. This is not $25 is not close to the real price. That's the derivative paper price. And you're trying to sell the physical at the paper price. And the buyers are all laughing all the way to the bank going, fuck, I only got to pay $25. But then what they try to do is scam you into believing. So this is where the Madoff part comes in. Well, it's really only worth 25. Oh, yeah, well, I don't want to buy it then. It's only worth 25. That's where the Madoff part comes in. So they play you into believing it's only worth 25 because they want you in this. So there's a method to their madness. But if you understand what's going on, this is worth 2,000 that you can get for 25. Psychologically, people don't want to buy it because they realize, oh, it doesn't have much value. But people don't know to get out of this. People stay in this. Oh, I'll buy stocks. And I'll be in bonds now. I'll have my money in the bank, and I can get a CD, and I can get a real estate trust. I'll go buy a house. You're still in paper with all that shit. You're still in this, which is inflated to zero, going to zero. Get the fuck out of this. But people won't listen. People don't know. People are afraid. Even Todd here, he's getting a check for 10 grand. The check should be a lot more. He doesn't quite fully understand. He's like a little bit understanding, but he doesn't understand. His check should have a lot more K to it and buy a lot more gold. But he's got time. But and I understand Todd's scenario, but I told him I would have bought more. Anyway, so that is the market. The market is what people are willing to pay for it. So in this market, people are willing to buy derivative gold and silver cheap, but they don't want to sell it cheap because they know it's worth a lot more. That's what everything is. Everything's a market. You just need a medium of exchange to buy it. So you're gonna pay me. You're gonna pay me in this or this to do finance work. You pay me that. I then consume. I go take this and buy rent, and I buy electricity, and I buy food. That's what you do with it, right? So you go buy this with it. And that's the idea. So you're buying this with it. And then you are trading, oh, I need whiskey, so I'm going to, how much do you want? And then I figure if it's good. Well, like steaks, though. You want a New York strip and it's $20 a pound. You say, yeah, I don't want it. That's not a good trade. It's too expensive. I'm not going to give you this or 20 of these. I'm not going to give you 20 of these for your New York strip. So you wait till they're on sale like they are now at $10, and then you buy them for the $10. But for the $20, it's not a good trade. So you're trading your money for your goods. You're trading your money for your sweatshirt. You're trading your money for your avocado. You're trading your money for your silver. And so you're trying to get a good trade. Well, in money, if you understand gold and silver, the trade's easy. It's so undervalued, but most people don't realize it's undervalued. And they think, oh, it doesn't have demand. That's why it's not going up in price. It should be 10,000 an ounce. It's still at 2. Silver's only 25. Why would I buy it? It's not going anywhere. Believe me, it ain't 25 an ounce in the real world. So that's what you're doing, and you're just waiting for it to explode, and it's getting close, and the debt will kill it, and all the countries that don't want it will kill it. And then the final nail in the coffin is Russia coming out with a gold-backed ruble and gold for their oil. That will be the nail in the coffin. It doesn't, even if they come out with number 2, where you can go to the grocery store, it won't matter. The gold and silver, like I said, now your spouse, knows you're cheating. It can't go back to before. So that's where you're at. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed economics, but that's really what economics is. It's money. It's supply and demand in the real world, not when it's held down by options and derivatives like gold and silver are. And it's the only thing held down. I mean, the Canadian Club and the stakes in the market, $20. Nobody wants it. Now it's in the market for $10. That's the real market, because that's what the price is set by us. We go to the store. It's too expensive. We don't buy it. If it's cheap, we buy it. If it's $5 a pound, we buy 5 of them. That's the market, but that's not what gold and silver is. Not in the market. It's cheap. Why so they want us to buy it? They don't want us to buy it because they want us to think has the value. So don't buy silver. It's only 25 an ounce. It doesn't have a value. This is their thinking, and you think these guys are in charge, have a plan? There is no plan. The plan by the people in charge are a bunch of idiots. There is no plan, Mark McGuire, unfortunately. If there was a plan, it would not be to blow up the dollar. It would be somehow to preserve it, right? So that's basically it. The war in Israel is just a facade. I believe the war is real, but I believe it's a facade. So you forget about the inflation, the recession, all the people coming into the country from Mexico and Latin America. You forget all that. That's not, we got the war to focus on. Don't look at that. And then you got the Ukraine war with the U.S. against Russia. Russia's winning 75-0. They're killing us. It's not even a war. They're just sitting there going, So they'll probably take back Odessa, which I really like Odessa. It's a very nice little city on the Black Sea. So we kind of like Odessa. And really the only thing that'll change is it'll be Russian. So it's like going to St. Petersburg now. You got to get a Russian visa and you go there. So it'll just be if you want to go there, you'll get a Russian visa to go to Odessa. You go to the Ukraine instead. But that's really what's happening. So keep in mind, the best way to understand this, you have to have somebody that knows what they're talking. So as I told Todd, ask your broker about gold, and he should know there's paper and physical. If he doesn't know there's paper and physical, get up and walk out, because then you're just wasting your time. He's only trying to scam you. All the broker or financial planner wants is commission for them. They don't want you to make money. That is not their goal. The only one with that goal is me, trying to make you money with football, and more important, with the gold and silver to get out of the money. So if they don't understand that question, get up and leave. If they do, smart enough to understand paper and physical, I would be shocked. And then that's your first question to ask them. Then you ask them, what kind of economics do they like, Austrian or Keynesian? I doubt anybody will answer it, because I doubt anybody knows what Austrian economics is, which is a big problem. So they'll say Keynesian, you get up and leave. You don't want to deal with Keynesians, and you don't want to deal with people that have paper gold. So if they can answer those two questions right, and then the third question is, do you want me to make money or not? What should I invest in? And if the answer is not this, if this isn't the answer, this is you making money. Keeping you in this is them making commission. So it's very simple. Do they want to make you money, or do they want to keep you in this so they can make commissions? And if they say buy stocks, buy bonds, buy real estate trust, how about an annuity, get the fuck out of there as fast as you can. They are not in the only one you should listen to is somebody putting you into silver or gold. If they say, this is what I would do with my money, then you sit down and listen to them. As far as I know, the only person telling you to do that is moi. I'm the only one, and I don't make a nickel. I don't get a commission. I'm not selling you I would not sell you my gold and silver at these low prices anyway. But until you realize that, that's how you test. You really want to get out of your money and into gold and silver. That's a no-brainer, and you don't need to ask anybody that. I'm telling you that. And then I'm showing you, look, I did it. And if I'm doing it, it must be the right thing to do, because I'm sitting there with one of many 20-ounce silver containers. This has 20 ounces of silver in it. There's 20 of these. Well, I'm buying it. Hello, McFly. If I'm buying it, then I'm showing you, right? If I thought it was not a good thing, I wouldn't buy it. But if I think it's a good thing, why did I buy it? Because obviously I had to get out of this, because I know this is going to go to zero, because it always does. They can't stop printing it. They're all corrupt motherfuckers. They print and print and print the money. This is the problem. But you need gold and silver because they can't print it. That's why. It's very limited, and you can't print gold and silver. That's why you get into gold and silver. It's the only real money in the world. It's been around since the Romans. Yeah, it's been around 6,000 years. So that's why, right? It's indestructible. It's money legally, and you can't print it. So that's why they don't want it, because they want to be able to print $1 billion there and $1 trillion there. But you can't print gold, so that's why they don't want gold. So now you understand what's really going on. Then you can make your own decisions very simply. You go to a coin store that sells gold and silver. Go to the store. You don't pay taxes. Bring in cash so nobody knows you got it. You walk out with the gold and silver. You buy a safe. You put it in a safe spot. You don't go blabbering that you have it, and off you go. And that's it. That's exactly what you're trying to do. And then you're safe. And then as people start realizing, so as this collapses, what happens? People then start realizing we need money in the market. So I need to get paid, and I need to buy things. I need milk, and I need bread, and I need eggs, and I need to pay my rent. But I also need to get paid something from my employer. I need something, and that's when the new currency comes out, or gold and silver. So now, I still need to run the economy. I still need to have a market, right? So then you start asking for this in your employer. You know what? Don't pay me $100,000 or $50. Don't pay me $50,000. Give me the equivalent in gold and silver. I'll take the gold and silver instead of the $50,000, and I'm way ahead. And then you go to the store with it and you buy things. And then eventually this comes out. You want it to be backed by gold, but if it isn't, at least I can still use it to buy until people realize this isn't any good either. That's what the Venezuelans and the Russians are doing. They've come out with new rubles and new Venezuela money, and it's still worthless because it's still not backed by gold. Once it's backed by gold, then it has value. It'll keep its value. That's what everybody's waiting for. So that's why when the Russians have their gold back, their money backed by gold, then all of a sudden they're the kings. And then here come the Chinese, and they're the kings, and then BRICS, and they're the kings. And guess what? People will start realizing, oh, fuck, I need gold and silver. But by then, you're not going to get this. You're not paying $25 an ounce for this. You're going to be paying $2,000 an ounce. And you'll have to have it. So you'll buy some, but not as much as you could have, because I'm ahead of the game. You won't be ahead of the game if you wait for the game. Then it's $2,000 an ounce. Maybe you buy 3 or 4 of them. I've already bought 600 of them. Then I take 10 and buy an ounce of gold with it, or 12. And the game's on now. We need this. This is the asset. This is the money that's going to allow me to eat and buy a house and buy a car and go on vacation and everything else, just like I do now, but it won't be with this. So therefore, your credit and debit cards are gone because they rely on that. They're in this. So everything in this is gone. Your banks, your stocks, your 401ks, everything's gone. And the only thing left is voila. And that's, once people understand that, then that's when the price goes up. But you don't want to be caught buying it then. But the market will always be that. That's the market. You always need a medium of exchange. You have to have a medium of exchange. You have to. That's how an economy works, a market works, civilization works. What is a medium of exchange? Good question, Bobby. I will read you the exact definition. A medium of exchange is what everyone wants. Does everybody want Bitcoin? No. Hey, Luke. Just got some of those plastic coin cases for my gold ounces. These, Good boy. Did you go to the gold store and get them or what? But yeah, you'll like them. Then you can play with them and you can stack them. So I take all my Cougarans and put them together and all my Maple Leafs. That's how I diversify my portfolio. So it is a medium of exchange. It's what everybody wants. That's why Bitcoin is not money. It is not a medium of exchange because not everybody wants it. Originally, cows were the medium of exchange. You can believe that. There's two values. There's the exchange and there's the use. Convenience developed by economics. Qualities of the medium of exchange. This is very important. There's 6 qualities. 1, it must be portable. A little bit does a lot of work. As you can see, this is fucking pretty portable, right? There, I got it. I can take it with me. This is portable. Scarce. There's not a lot of these. Even though there's a lot of these, but not really a lot, considering the demand for it. Scarce means high value, which means, is this scarce or is this scarce? Well, I think this is a lot scarcer than this, as this has hit, what, $20 trillion? And when the 90 trillion come back in because they dump, then what's really going to happen? So this is very much scarcer. Overabundance loses values. Think about that. Oh, you mean if you print too much, it loses value? You can't print this. That's the point of it. Divisible for small exchanges. Absolutely. I can go buy milk and that. And with this, there's 1s, 5s, 10s. There'll be 10 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents in this. Fungible. Everything is the same. Silver, silver. Gold is gold. Absolutely. Replaceable. Yes. Acceptance. Everybody wants it. Absolutely. Total acceptance. Durable. Well, gold's indestructible. Silver is pretty durable. Value equals most marketable commodity. So this is very marketable. Everybody wants it. Carl Menger said value equals depends on judgment. So do you think it's worth something? So it's got to be the judgment. Money, most marketable security. Market decides that money is marketable and value. That's what Carl Munger is saying. So we all believe instead of cows and instead of avocados or tulips, it used to be tulips, we all agree, society, that this is the most marketable security. The market decides that money is marketable. Money functions medium of exchange, work for money to buy food, store a purchasing power. So I'm going to save it and spend it later. But in our case, this is going to go up in value. So we're saving this, waiting for the value to go up. And then we can go, oh, okay, now this isn't 25 anymore. This is now 2,500 or 5,000. Unit of account, measurement of account, common denominated, made or lost money. So I spent 25, it's worth 2,000. I made money on it. That's what this whole thing's about, right? Then there was a thing in Madoff as I was thinking about this. So what ended Madoff? And I was watching this today. I like watching this and laughing at the people. And what ended it is everybody panicked. They realized the Titanic was going down and everybody wanted to get off. So what ended Madoff was not Madoff. It wasn't the Ponzi scheme. It was the housing market. As people are losing their ass on the housing market and the real estate investment trust, once they realized those were worthless, they needed money and they had all their money with Madoff, and they said, give me my money. And because there was a rush, a panic, that's what broke Madoff. It wasn't even that they knew Madoff was full of shit. It was the housing crisis that did it. So Madoff, A, should have smelled that coming if he was a finance guy. B, you'd have thought he would have had JP Morgan print him up some money since they were running the account and they were looking the other way with his $1 billion in the account. So what Madoff should have done is had JP Morgan print money so he could have paid off these guys because it was a one-time only, right? They wanted the money now because they were losing money in the real estate trust and they needed money. It had nothing to do with Madoff. So all he had to do is have JP Morgan print him up some money, pay off the investors and say, look, I'll pay you back in a little bit because nobody's going to realize I'm still running the Ponzi scheme. That's what he should have done. So he's not as smart as he thinks he is, because he should have known that, and he should have known the housing crisis was coming. How did he not know that was happening? Because of if he's a smart guy, which shows you he's not a smart guy. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming in 1997. As soon as Clinton said, you know what, you've got to lend money to anybody who wants a house. And as soon as he said that, I knew, well, these people can't afford houses, but you're giving it to them. Therefore, if the people don't realize what's happening, why would you buy a real estate trust? Why would you buy somebody's mortgage? Well, they've never collapsed before. Oh, sort of like the Titanic's unsinkable. Oh, okay. Yeah, you keep believing the bullshit. So that's the point. So when Clinton signed that in the law that you have to lend, if somebody wants a mortgage, even though they have zero FICO score or they're not working, you have to give them the mortgage. Because Janet Reno was suing like these banks for declining the customers. They said, no, you've got to accept them. But they did say, we'll insure it. So the government the whole time was saying, don't worry, we're going to insure it, but we want votes, so we want to give people houses. That's what happened in 1997. So don't give me this shit in 2008. You didn't know what was going on. You knew what was going on in 1997. It's the same thing in 1929 when they did the embargo, when they did the, when they did the Tariff Act. Well, the prices are going to go up, so it's going to cause a recession and the stock market's going to crash because the company's earnings are going to go down because you just raised prices, which is what's happening here. When you raise interest rates, every company's going to be less profitable because things got more expensive. And then you add inflation into it. Everybody's going to lose money. How much do you think Coke and Pepsi selling their 2 liters at $3 instead of $1.50 are making more money? No, sales have gotten crushed. The sales are way down. The profit didn't go up because they sold, their sales probably went down more than the price increase. And that's why the market's going to crash, rule number one. And then rule number two is all the foreigners dumping their stock. But whenever you have costs going up, profits drop, right? Because we don't have a printing press. If it costs me $10 for Oreos, that means that's $7 that I would buy apples, oranges, and other things, or go to Best Buy or go to Target with, that I don't have the money for. I need to eat before I need the other things. That's the problem. So that's what 1929 was about. And that's what 2008 was about. The real estate trust, they got adjustable rate mortgages at 2%, which they could barely afford. They're not working or they have bad credit. Then they push it up to 4%, and then it goes up to 6%. Once it's at 6%, nobody can afford it. They dump their properties. And a lot of the girls had 4 or 5 properties. They were doing it like stocks. They weren't buying one house to live in. They were buying 5 houses thinking, oh, look at all the money we're going to make. And so when the ARM goes up, the adjustable rate, they can't afford it. They dump the houses, which dumps the real estate trust because it's based on people paying. Oh, everybody, it's never collapsed. Yeah, because you never had an idiot running the government who says, well, we got to let anybody who wants a house get one, even if they don't have the credit for it. Well, that's the whole point of having credit. If you don't have credit, I'm not loaning you the money. So that's what happened in 2008, and that's what killed Madoff. They all went and needed the money. Oh, we're going to go to Madoff. He's got our money. And they, But Madoff never should have saw that coming, and his out should have been JP Morgan, print me money to cover this, and then I'll make it worth your while, which is what he was doing with the other guys and what he did with the SEC and everything. So he didn't think it out. He could have easily kept going, print me out $1 billion, which was nothing, and then I'll pay you back with interest or whatever, and then he would have been fine. So he didn't think. So it shows you he's not half as smart as he thinks he is. But that's how it got. So it was the frenzy of everybody losing their money in the real estate trust that needed money that all went to Madoff at the same time. He could handle some people coming, but he couldn't handle everybody. And that brings us up to today. So when people realize the Titanic's sinking and they realize that this is going to zero and I need this, what do you think is going to happen? So this is exactly like 2008. People realize the real estate trusts are fucked and they lose all their money. And that's what's happening. Once people realize this is gone, here comes the frenzy into this. And we're ahead of the game. We know it's going to happen, just like 2008, just like 1929. I'm not sure what happened in 1987. I believe it was inflation from the higher interest rates that Reagan did in 1980. See, people for some reason think if you raise interest rates, that solves inflation, or it makes it cost more so people spend less, which stops inflation. It's not spending. Inflation's not prices. Inflation's you print 10 trillion of these. That's inflation, not interest rates or anything else. So it all comes back to that. Luke, Amazon. What about Amazon? That's where you bought it? Oh, I don't care. I'm glad you got it. I'm glad you got the gold. Anyway, so that's what happens. So there is always this mass. Once people realize, I asked you where you got it. Oh, I thought you would have got it from the coin store. Okay, no problem. I'm off on a tangent now on Madoff. So anyway, that's really what it is. So you can see 1929, the frenzy, 2008, the frenzy, 2000, the frenzy. It's always costs going up, which fucks everything up in a market because people can't just print. So the banks get made whole because they're the ones running the game, right? They're the casino. So you're at Caesar's Palace and somebody gets hot and hits the blackjack or hits poker. Well, not poker, but hits blackjack or craps on you or roulette. They just pull out more money. Give me more money. They call the bank, give me more money. That's basically what happens. And when you go and lose, then they just say thank you, and we'll comp you a free breakfast for the $10,000 you lost. When you start getting comps, you're in big trouble. My brother does that. He goes, "Oh, I got free rooms," and I'm like, "Oh, really? Free rooms? How much are the free rooms going to cost you? Because you're an idiot. You don't know how to gamble. You're going to lose what, 10 grand for your free room? Don't kid me." Gold price up $20. Well, the paper gold price. We're waiting for the Russians to do their little thing with oil and with the ruble, and then you won't be asking that question anymore. But yeah, it was like 1950. So now look how quickly it went from 18, went down to 1817, and now it's back to 1950. Look how quick it came back. And the only reason it stops is because of the derivatives by JP Morgan. If once we cut that out, you're just going to see that mass exodus out of the dollar. This is what we're waiting for, is people to realize this is worthless. And then they'll realize they can't buy yen, they can't buy British pounds, Swiss francs, or euros. Once they realize they have to get out of this, but there's no other currency, and the only out is this, then that's what we're waiting for. Then this goes up to 2,000-3,000 an ounce because they realize they can't go anywhere else. And they realize the only way out is this. This is the savior. This allows them to to eat and pay rent is this, not this. Once they realize that, then the price goes through the moon because now it becomes a panic. I have to have gold. I have to have silver. And the $25 that we paid is now $2,000, and they're going, well, I got to have it. I'll pay $2,000. I got to have it. And that's what's coming. And that's the whole point. Just like the Madoff Ponzi scheme, it eventually came where everybody realized, oh, fuck, my real estate, because they didn't understand the game, which is why I used the Attack on Wall Street one. Had the guy realized with the 60,000 that if they don't pay their mortgages, I'm going to lose my writ. By the way, Mr. Stockbroker, can I sell my writ at any time? And if he says yes, once he realizes that the mortgages are dropping and people can't afford them because the adjustable rate has gone from 2% to 6%, he could have got out of his 60,000 and not lost it. Or he could have bought 60,000 of this when he started and not listened to the broker who only cares about his commission, who wants him to stay in this. Had he known that, he'd have tripled his money and never shot anybody. Although that wouldn't have been fun in the movie, but it's going to be a bank run on physical. You got to realize, Luke, there's really not a lot of this out there, right? Because Tesla's buying a bunch for their batteries. See, this is the part that you really don't understand with the electric cars. The electric cars must have this in their battery. What are they going to do when this is 2,000 an ounce or 5,000 an ounce? It'll fuck up their cost. They won't be able to make their cars. And they're going to run out of silver because there's not going to be enough silver to make the battery. And it must have silver. There's no alternative. That's really the key that people aren't really understanding. So they're not thinking ahead that I need silver and that the price of silver is going to go to the moon. Not only because of demand, but because of gold goes up, this goes up. They're buddies, they're brothers. And that's what's going to happen. So I don't know about a bank run on physical, but it's going to be the Madoff run on physical once they realize. See, they don't realize that this is it. I can't go British pounds, Swiss francs, or euros. And I can't stay in this. People don't realize all the paper's the same. It's not backed by anything. It's all shit. Once they realize what they have and there's no other way out, that's when they jump into this going, oh, fuck, you mean the only way out is this? Yes. However, we already understand that. You have me, so you understand, I can't go into any other currency. I have to go into silver and gold. Let me buy it at 25, all I can eat, because when it hits 2,000, I won't be able to. And in gold, it's 2,000 now. It's going to go to 20. How much can I buy at 20? The only thing I'm going to do is take 10 of these and say, I would like an ounce of gold with my silver. That's how I'm going to buy gold when it hits a very high price, as my silver will go right along with it. And the thing that people realize with silver is like 85 to 1, right? It should be 10 to 1. So $2,000 gold should be $200 silver, but yet it sits at 25. That's not the free market. That's a bullshit derivative market. So once people realize that, silver's going to zoom, right? Gold hits 10,000. Silver's got to hit 1,000 because it's got to go 10 to 1. And when that happens, then I walk in with 10 and I asked the guy, I said, so am I going to be able to just bring 10 ounces of silver to buy the ounce of gold? He says, well, we'll probably buy the silver from you and then you'll take the money to buy the gold. And I go, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So why give me $10,000 for my 10 ounces of silver and then make me take the 10,000 to buy the ounce of gold? Why don't you just take the 10 ounces of silver to buy the ounce of gold? Like, hello, what the fuck? So really that's what it is. I love outsmarting the coin store. And my favorite line is, "Do you realize you're selling this at paper prices, not physical prices?" They look at me like a deer in the headlight. Huh? What? Paper prices? And I just laugh and I leave like the Joker. I just leave laughing hysterically out the door, paying 25 an ounce for something I know is worth $2,000 all the time. So there'll be bank runs, but all we know is the price is going to get away from the derivatives, get away from COMEX. The Russians are pushing it up. The U.S. is going broke. They're going to need, well, they don't have any gold. So the U.S. will look, it's the U.S. has got to be the stupidest country in the world not to be buying the gold at this price. You out of your fucking mind? And they don't own the 8,000 tons. It's gone. They've sold it all. So has the Canadians and so has the Brits. And all three of the countries are going broke. And our friend who bought the house for $700,000, who put $400,000 in, is getting totally fucked because the Canadian economy is gone. People are selling their houses; they can't afford them. The inflation's huge, and he could have had $400,000 in gold and not and been the king of Canada. But no, he bought a house with it, and his $700,000 house probably worth $300,000 now. The interest rates are through the roof. And by the way, I don't know. He said he had some gold, but I doubt it. Because if he did, if you give me $400,000, I'm at that coin store so quick your head will swim. Are you kidding me? I'd have bought $400,000 in gold. Maybe I'd have kept 30 or 40 out, and the rest is in gold. It's a no-brainer. There's no risk, and I'm going to make a fortune. Why would I put it into a house? Why would I not just spend it all in gold? A no-risk investment. You've got to be fucking kidding me. So, I don't get when people are in class and they don't get the basic rule, and then they tell me this shit, and I'm like, well, if you don't want to listen, why are you here? I mean, I'm teaching you economics. If you don't want to listen to me teach you economics, or you're not smart enough to ask the question, you know what? We're going to sell our house. What should I do with the 400? And I would tell you to buy gold, which is what I told the guy. And if you don't want to listen to me, then what are you doing here? Now, you're not wasting class time, except for when you ask stupid questions. Then you're wasting class time. So this is why I go 3 hours. I want to make sure I cover everything, and everybody who has a question can ask it. But yeah, I mean, this is such a no-brainer because, I mean, I'm showing you all these examples. 1929, the market crashed because of the tariffs, and there was inflation. The Roaring '20s was inflation, and then the tariffs. So it added cost, and that's why the market crashes. Whenever the company, whenever costs go up in a company, so if costs go up in my Canadian club and I can't pass it on, see, people think they can just pass it on. They can't. They can only pass it on if us say you can. So if this goes from $40 to $70 because their costs go up and I say, fuck it, I ain't paying $70 for it, they're fucked. They can't raise the price unless I agree to it, or we do. We're the market. So I don't know what they're talking about. But that's what happened in the 20s because the central bank came in, and then the idiot FDR comes in, and the depression lasts 10 years. It should have lasted 6 months. You just let it run out. It was over in 1930. The market had come back and everything would have been fine. But no, he starts creating unemployment and Social Security, and let's build a dam and let's build roads. We're in the depression for 10 years because of that idiot. Everybody thinks FDR is a good president. It's out of their minds. The guy killed the country. And then it's not that the war saved us. It did help that we were able to get revenue because we weren't in the war at first. We could sell planes and tanks to Russia and England and artillery and jeeps. We could sell all that, ships, planes, and tanks. That's how we got out of it. We sold it. But if we were in it on our own, who are we selling it to? It's all a cost. It's not a revenue. So therefore, wars always kill economies. So we're spending a lot in Ukraine. I heard today that Ukraine, all the equipment we sold to the Ukrainians or we gave to the Ukrainians, they're selling to Hamas and they're selling to Mexico. And all the equipment we left in Afghanistan is what Hamas has. We left all that equipment. That's what they're using, is all that equipment that we left. So now you wonder, did we leave it by accident or did we leave it on purpose? I tend to think we left it on purpose, but that's how my mind thinks. Why would we just leave it? Oh, now it's being used to attack Israel. Whoa, okay, now I get it. We left it on purpose. It's a very strange world we live in where the people in charge are the stupidest people that you could ever put in charge. And what bothers me are people that are in charge that aren't even elected, like the Defense Department and all these generals and military guys who are running things. It's a sad state of affairs. Anyway, that is what's happening. Again, your free picks, Alabama. I'll do a free pick in the pros probably tomorrow. Get Alabama at 8.5, keep it under 3. And then I do have a lock already for if you want to buy the lock. I'm teaching. So if you do want to buy the lock, it's out there. I'm going to post I got a lot of college games. And the pros pretty much, I'll probably play the game tomorrow, Jacksonville, New Orleans. I'm waiting to hear about Trevor Lawrence has a knee problem. He'll probably play, but he sucks anyway. And then I'm waiting to hear on Fields, and I'm waiting to hear on Carr and Garoppolo, and to see if these guys are playing. And then we'll get a good view of the Lions against the real team with the real defense in Baltimore. Although Lamar's so bad. I love when these guys say, well, Lamar, like they'll say, well, Lamar's a really good running back, but a lousy quarterback. And then the announcer, oh, no, he's a great quarterback. The fuck, are you on drugs? You know, he's a terrible quarterback, but they like him because he's Lamar, and it's the politically correct thing is to say Lamar is good because he's a running quarterback. Anyway, so I will have that. Again, I watched Madoff again, and it was really, that's what I noticed was the bank run. The run cost them the frenzied, the real estate trust collapse, and he wasn't smart enough to see it coming. And he wasn't smart enough to have JP Morgan print him money. That's who he should have went to. And JP Morgan, you know, is corrupt as all hell, would have printed him the money and charged him 20%. And then everything went back to normal. He would have paid him off. But he's sitting there buying boats and houses in the south of France, and he doesn't see this coming. What a fucking idiot. I don't know. I guess I'm really, really smart because I see all this shit coming, and most people don't even understand it. But anyway, same thing in football. I see it all coming. I know what's happening. Anyway, any other thing? Luke, anything else? Bobby was not in class today. So you know what happens. That means he owes everybody 10 ounces of silver for missing class. I guess he's been sick or blood work or whatever. We'll see. Hopefully he's okay. I got him fasting, so that should cure him. But yeah, I mean, go buy as much of this as you can and stop dicking around and stop thinking that the dollar. Oh, here, see, here's another one. So this comes in many different flavors. So this is 1 troy ounce of silver. He says 1 troy ounce fine silver, but this is this. Now this and this are the same. They're the same animal. This is the same thing because at the end of the day, they're both 1 troy ounce, right? So as long as these are 1 troy ounce, do I care which one? No, they're both 1 troy ounce. And that's what you really need to understand. You're buying silver. And once you understand that, it'll keep the value. And if you notice, the price of silver, it's priced in silver, not U.S. silver or not Cougaran silver. It's priced in silver. So once you understand that, then you get it. So that's what you got on. So your goal right now is to get the fuck out of this before it's worthless. Now, you don't believe me. Fair enough. Keep this. Now, the other you can do three things. You can eliminate this and buy this. You can keep this and pray it doesn't go to zero, which it will. Or you can spend half of it and buy half. So you got 20,000, buy 10,000 of this, 10,000 in cash. And if nothing happens and I'm wrong, you can take this and buy this back. And then you'll have your money. So by trading this for this, you're not spending a nickel. You're just converting this paper into real money. And that's what you have to understand. So if I have real money and I need it, well, you go back to the coin store and you sell them a few ounces back for this. But if you hold on to this, this is going to zero. That's the way the game works. They're printing it to zero. So your risk on holding this is far greater than the risk of this not going up. And if it doesn't and you need the money, just go back to the coin store, say, here's 20 ounces of silver, and he's going to give you spot, and you'll get this back. So you're taking the risk that this doesn't go to zero and this doesn't go up, which both are going to happen very soon because of Russia and the BRICS and them coming out with a gold-backed currency and gold for oil. So I'm giving you the ammunition why it's different now than it's been for 50 years. It's the end of the line. There's a $35 trillion in debt. It's the end of the line. It's all over. The train's coming to the last stop. So that's what you have. That's the problem. So let's see. Thank you, Luke. Have a good evening yourself. With premiums, I'm cost average in on my silver around. All right, Luke, you're looking at it wrong. This isn't cost averaging. You're not buying a stock. This is going to be 2,000 an ounce. You give a fuck about cost averaging? You're not buying a stock, and you're not understanding. Again, you're missing the point. You're looking at paper gold. We don't look at paper gold. We look at physical gold, which is coming. So you got to get off of the paper gold stuff. You're able to buy it at paper gold because they're too stupid to understand the difference. But I don't know what I bought it at, and I don't give a shit what I bought it at. I've been buying a lot at $25, $26, $27 an ounce. I don't care. I'm not keeping track and averaging. I'm not trying to average. I'm trying to get as much silver as I can. I got 600 ounces. I don't care what I paid for it because it's at $25, $26 an ounce. When it hits 2,000, am I going to give a fuck what I paid for it? No. Why do you what are you cost averaging? You cost average a stock, fine. But even then, it's stupid. You're buying so many shares at a price, and then you sell them when they go up. So if you buy Microsoft at $30, you buy 100 shares. When it goes to $40, you sell it. And some of it you might have bought at 28. Some you might have bought at 32. It doesn't matter. When it hits 40, you sell it. But you're not averaging. This is not an average. This is about buying as much gold and silver as you can buy. This is about owning this. This is not about an average because your prices aren't even close to reality. Paper price is not real. So understand that. I thought you understood that by now. This is paper prices. We don't give a fuck. We want physical prices. Anyway, so that's the bottom line. So please understand that, Luke. I hope you get that. We're trying to buy as much physical. We don't care what we pay for it. Right now it's $25, $26 an ounce. Just buy as much as you can. Gold at 2,000 an ounce. Just buy as much of it as you can. We don't care. We're not keeping track. What we're keeping track of is I got 100 ounces of gold. I got 100 ounces of silver. That's what we're keeping track of, because they're not pricing it in different gold. They're saying gold is worth 2,000 an ounce. They're not saying what kind of gold's worth that. And yeah, they might sell Eagles for more than the Maple Leafs, then more than the Cougar Ants. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're buying an ounce of gold. We go to Switzerland, Egon gives us our money. That's it. So keep that in mind. Anyway, it's all about the market. It's all about supply demand, real supply demand, not paper supply demand. And it's all about, is there a market for something? So if you want to, buy golf clubs, is there, if you want to sell golf clubs, is there a market for it? Yeah. Okay, somebody will buy it. Okay, so as long as somebody's willing to buy and somebody's willing to sell, that's a market, and you're willing to pay. You want to sell golf balls, somebody's going to buy them. You determine it's $20 a dozen. The market says yes, then you got it. Then you're selling and they're buying, and that's the market. It's when there is no buying is when there's no more market. So if the guy wants to sell his ribs at the barbecue place for $45 a slab, there's not going to be a market. Nobody's going to buy it. Very few people will. And that's what you want to be at the optimal price in the market, that I can sell it at 28 and I'm going to get 1,000 people. If I sell it at 45, I might get 10 people. That's what you're doing. So you're trying to understand the market. That's the whole point of business and economics. Can I sell it? Is there a market? Does somebody want to buy it? And I want a free market. I don't want a fixed market. Like, this is a government fixed market. That's not what I want. We understand that, and we're waiting for it to blow up, which it's going to. We're just waiting for that. So that's really what the point is. So stop income averaging, just buy. All right. Anything else? Anybody? McFly? Anybody? All right. www.teaserking.com. One lock posted. Several locks will go up tomorrow. Several plays. I didn't play tonight's game. I'll probably play tomorrow's game. There's one. Let it blow. Let it blow? What does that mean? Blow the top off of it? Well, it's gonna, the panic's gonna set in, as we discussed. And once people realize that this isn't gonna help them and that this is where the value is, then it's all over. That's when it blows up. Yeah. So maybe that's what you mean. But anyway, so I'll probably have some. I don't know if I'm playing the pro game tomorrow. Maybe I got to wait for the injury. Should have a lot of plays in college, and then in the pros. Looks like a good week. So should be a real good week. I'm excited. I got a ton of college games I just went through, and we'll go through the pros tomorrow. So pros tomorrow, economics tomorrow. I love catching things in Madoff and an attack on Walls. I watch it. I know the story, but I'm watching for the other things. Like, everybody, why did he lose? Because everybody needed money because of the real estate trust. And then you're like, why didn't he see that coming? And why didn't he just have JP Morgan? Like, he couldn't get more money. Why not? Why couldn't he get it from JP Morgan? He didn't think outside the box. They print the money. They're crooked. They're in on it because he's got an account at JP Morgan that they're not watching. Go to them and say, I need a loan. That, he could have just went there and said, look, the real estate trust is killing a lot of my customers. Can I get a loan or something? And they would have given it to him, and he'd have gotten his $1 billion that he needed to pay off the people, and then everything would have been back to normal. Not a smart man, Madoff, for as smart as he tried to be. And there's no way he did it on his own. He had many hundreds of people helping him in Europe and Asia, in the U.S. All these people were in on it. Everybody who had a piece of it was in on it. There might have been 10 people that are all crying, going, I love when the people say they did their due diligence, and you're like, No, you didn't. If I'm getting something, if you're paying me 15% a month or whatever every month, and I don't know how you're doing it, I didn't do my due diligence. I'd like to know how you're doing it. And don't tell me this, that, or the other. You can't do it. Then I would have thought it's a scam. And then I would have said to him, well, I know it's a scam, so how are you protected so we won't go broke? That's what I would have said. Well, I wouldn't have never been in it because I don't believe in that. I'll make money my way. I'll make money this way. This is how legally you make money, not a Madoff way. All right. Let it blow, Luke. Bobby, where the hell are you? You owe us. All right. www.teaserking.com. The site's up and running. Thank God. And so we should have a real big week. I'm expecting a lot of good college. One lot posted already. And then pros, there's at least 6 or 7 that I always find. So have a good week, everybody. Today's Wednesday, I think. So have a good weekend. And we'll see you soon. So take care. Good luck. Feel good. Don't eat too much sugar. All right. Bye-bye.